Well, a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. How are you? And welcome to the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, sports1440.ca, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Can always get involved. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Text us in our inbox. It is the Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website, where 100% of the revenue stays right here in the lovely province of Alberta. PlayAlberta.ca. No one won last night. So Lotto Max Friday, $50 million. And Lotto 649 tonight, $10 million. Get in at PlayAlberta.ca. Hey, we got lots and lots to discuss on the show. Evander Kane is now a member of the Vancouver Canucks. So we'll get your thoughts on that. This is not a surprise. I've talked about it for a few weeks. Evander Kane, Victor Arvidsson. I felt both players were going to get traded. Arvidsson is definitely working with the Oilers, as was Kane, to get a deal done. He gets to go to his hometown of Vancouver. He'll be highly motivated. We'll see what he does. I think for the Edmonton Oilers, this is a salary cap dump. Not to mention, it's one where there were some. This was a player who wasn't the most beloved player in his locker room. Let's just call a spade here. And now, not everybody gets along with everybody and sings Kumbaya all the time. I get it, but I don't. I've seen online that, oh my goodness, the Oilers they're really gonna miss Evander Kane. They might. Right? They could miss him at times. When Kane's on his game, he's a pretty effective player. But there's also the other side to it. Takes lots of undisciplined penalties. Not a great passer. Now, he's physical, but the Oilers went through a full regular season without Evander Kane. They seem to be okay. And I think they'll be fine. You look there now, do I think they need to add a bottom six player with a little bit of grit and panache to his game? 1,000%. Yes. You're going to have Trent Frederick. Podkolzin's physical, sure. But they could use another one, no question. I know they got Jones. Jones historically will play physical for a few games, and then it kind of wears off. So now, hey, maybe being around the playoff run, he'll be going all summer, be like, man, I want to be part of that next year. I don't want to just be a black ace. I want to play. Maybe that's the motivation he needs, because he's got he skates very well. He's big. He's strong. He's got a lot of things you like. Just consistency's been his issue. So, you know what? It could be a guy who surprises, for sure. But I'd probably still look at bringing in someone else. I keep reminding everybody, Trent Frederick, if you go back and you watch the games, watch when Trent Frederick tried to deliver a body check. He could not skate through it because of his high ankle sprain, and a lot of times was leaning and reaching with his arms. It's not how he hits. What you saw from Trent Frederick is very different than what you're going to see when he's fully healthy. Now, I can tell you that high ankle sprains take a long time to heal. My nephew had his. He got hurt in late January. Earlier this week was the first time he skated without any pain. So late January till almost late June, right? Now, the fact that Frederick played, and I know he had taken some painkillers and everything just to get through it. But I think people are underestimating how difficult it is to be effective and how much it limits you when you have a high ankle sprain. I thought Frederick was pretty honest about it. He said, hey, man, like at first it was taped up. He could barely skate. You saw him, he toe picked a few times. The Trent Frederick you saw in the postseason is not really close to what you're going to see in the regular season. Now, he doesn't have the high end of Evander Kane, but he's more versatile. He's better on the wall in his own zone, and he's a better passer. Now, he's not as good of a finisher. There's no debate on that. And probably not as tough if you get to fisticuffs. How often you use the fisticuffs nowadays, we'll see. But I think Frederick is going to be able to fill a lot of the void of what Kane brought, and then they're going to need to find someone else. So it's amazing to me how I listened to Marty Baron tell his listeners today that he likes the Flames better than the Oilers moving ahead because they lost more depth in Evander Kane. Like, that's quite the take. That's pretty stunning to me. This is a Flame team who's going to lose their best defenseman. this coming season? And you like them better moving forward than the Oilers? Like, it's almost like some people didn't take a time to look. Edmonton's depth wasn't a big issue in the playoffs. 25-14, they outscored the opponents without McDavid and Draisaitl on the ice. 25-14. The year before, in the playoffs, they got outscored 21-12. That's a pretty big swing. Outscored by 9 to outscoring teams by 11. It's a 20-goal swing. It's pretty massive. I think the Oilers' depth will be okay. Can you improve it? 100%. And I think they'll look to and do it. I think that, Matt Savoy and Thomas Sek, that's what the regular season's for. We're going to see what they can do. And if the GM doesn't see them doing what he wants, well, then they'll make some moves. Right? Kapanen came on waivers. There's always a player that comes up on waivers that, somebody's willing to give up on. Always is. Now, they don't all pan out, but we'll see how it goes. I don't think losing Evander Kane is going to be as traumatic as some people think. I really don't. So we'll see. Hey, I wish him all the best. I think Vancouver's going to get a player who's highly motivated for sure. There's no doubt about that. This is last year of his deal, and Kane's one of those guys who understands it, right? He'd love nothing more probably than to play at home. But, what's going to happen in Vancouver if things go sideways a bit, right? I know that at times Kane was, you had a really veteran group, Hyman, McDavid, Perry, Ekholm, others who could just make sure that, Evander Kane stayed in line. Well, who's going to do that in Vancouver? JT Miller's gone. Quinn Hughes and Elias Pettersson going to do that? Maybe. So we'll see how it goes. But it frees up $5 million, which is the most important thing for the Edmonton Oilers. And I don't really believe that $5 million is going towards Evan Bouchard. Evan Bouchard, basically, if you look at Draisaitl's contract, and let's say Bouchard's making $10 million. The Oilers, they had that cap space for Bouchard. This $5 million frees up to sign guys like Kapanen, Perry, or Brown. I don't know if you're going to get all three of them. And then when Arvidsson gets dealt, there's another $4 million. And then you got some room to make a change in goal, which we know is going to happen. The GM outlined it. They're going to make a change in goal somehow, some way. So there you go. It was a clear salary dump for cap purposes and some other reasons, but mainly for the salary cap. And away we go here for the Edmonton Oilers moving forward. And we'll see kind of how it goes. I don't think it's a major loss. Thursdays, are you going to miss what Kane brings in certain games? Sure. But I think overall, the Edmonton Oilers team will be good enough to survive without Evander Kane. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. You can text us in our inbox. We got Mike Rupp coming up on the show. We have Yaremchuk. Rich Winter will do a special edition of the Business of Sports today, leading up to free agency. We'll talk a little bit about free agency and some other challenges and some things regarding that. So we also will hear from Rick Precy, the Oilers director of amateur scouting. The Oilers do now have 2 picks in the top 4 rounds because they got a 3rd rounder, and they actually got their 4th rounder back from Vancouver. The 4th rounder that they traded for Podkolzin, they just got back from Vancouver. So there you go. They got a 3rd and a 4th right now, also a 6th and a 7th. So hey, anytime you're the director of amateur scouting, you'd like a few more picks if you can. And last year the Sam O'Reilly trade turned out to take him at 31 to give up the 31st pick this year. That's looking like a hell of a move. So we'll talk to Rick about that and some other things. Also, Paul Sir will be by. NBA draft goes tonight, and there's going to be another Canadian going in the NBA draft and probably going pretty high. Got invited to the green room. You're probably going to the top 20 at that point. The odd time a guy will slip past that. So we'll touch on that to also talk a little Stingers with Paul Sir. The Elks are heading off to Winnipeg, where it is going to be a tough game. Let's just call a spade here. It will be a tough game for the Edmonton Elks. Their depth chart, some changes. They're going to move Jackson back to the halfback position. I like that move. I think he's better suited as a halfback. They released Rumunga, and that means Garnes is going to play at the Sam linebacker position in the first game. I like Jackson. I thought last year in the secondary, he was really good. So I like that move, putting him back there. The other one, of course, we'll see McKellar starting at right guard with Corte moving to center position. Evans, the left guard. Left guard, yes. And then you got Ivy and Boyko as your two tackles. So we'll see. Also, you're gonna have Garnes, Mark Evans, the second, also gonna get some time. He'll be starting at guard. That looks like it'll be his first start. So we'll see how it goes, man. You got a new center just because of injury, now a new guard. That O-line, they're gonna have to find a way to get some time for the quarterback. And Trey Ford. Trey Ford's gonna have a hell of a game. He's gonna have to have a hell of a game if they're gonna pull off the upset in Winnipeg. Connor Halley is with us, of course. Con man, what's your thoughts on the Evander Kane trade?
I said it on Fantasy Frenzy. I think anytime you lose a player of his capabilities, you're getting worse as a team. But right now it's the offseason. Like they lost a really good player that, like you said, took some questionable penalties. The high sticking ones were absolute killers. I think you can live with some of the Evander Kane roughing penalties, but the high sticking ones in crucial moments were tough. But I think it's clear, like you said, a move to clear up some cap space. And we'll see what they do with said space. I think there's other ways they can bring in and match the physicality lost by Evander Kane. And I kind of like for the Vancouver Canucks because, you're doing something, you're bringing him home. And if it doesn't work out, maybe you flip him at the deadline. And if this is a guy who continues on the pace that he had, like 6 goals in 20 games in the playoffs, that's 20, 25 goal pace. If he's able to do that again in the regular season, there's going to be plenty of suitors looking to add a guy like that in the postseason. So like the move for the Canucks, for the Oilers, it seemed like it was something that they just had to do to try to get that cap space back. So I totally understand what they were doing, both sides of it.
Yeah, well, Vancouver, hey, they needed some scores. They're going to lose Brock Besser. They lost JT Miller last year. So we'll see kind of how they're going to look moving forward. But I know some people are always in your own division. And hey, you know what? If that adds a little fuel to the fire, great. I like rivalry games in the middle of the season. If Kane's going to come and run around, I'm not certain he will, but it could make for some fun times. Animosity is the best thing to have in the regular season. I love it because it's a long 82 game slog. If Vancouver and Edmonton have some more fireworks and some animosity, all for it. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, Gregor, Kane trades asinine. Could have got way more from him at the deadline. He'll probably score 30 for the Canucks and punch McDavid and Draisaitl in the face for Mr. Dad. You could have got more from him at the deadline when he was on LTIR. Explain how. I don't really buy that was the case at all, in fact. Kane had a very specific list, even if you would have agreed to a trade. So I think you're kind of dreaming if you think that he was going to get a lot more at the trade deadline when he was injured. I don't see how he would have. So, hey, Gregor, I've heard rumors about Hyman's career being in jeopardy. What? From Austin. He had a broken bone in his wrist and tore some ligaments in his hand. I've never heard anything that would suggest it's career in it. Now, he himself said it might not be ready to start the season. That's where it's at. I would have to go back in time and think of a player who had their career ended over a broken wrist. Maybe it's happened. I just can't remember it. So, hey, Gregor, Jones is like Kapanen, noticeable for 3 or 4 games, then disappears. If they figured out they won't be waiver players, from Bird. Yeah, well, I thought Kapanen, you're right. That's a valid concern, although Kapanen has scored more goals, no question. But I think it's fair. Gregor, do you think the Oilers should have gotten more in the trade? It's a salary dump. It's a salary dump, my man. You can say, yeah, we could have got more. That's all you could have gotten. I don't think the Oilers would have traded him in the division if they could have gotten more elsewhere. Doesn't make sense to me. That was the best deal. So they made the trade. They wanted the cap space. This isn't just a 4th rounder. It's the 4th rounder and the cap space. And I think people have to remember that. It's not just one, it's a combination of both. Now you have to use the cap space effectively. Cap space is only valuable if it's used correctly. 401-1440. Hey, Gregor, if Nurse wanted to stay based on the discount Leon and McDavid are basically taking, can they renegotiate his contract? Well, I know people say Draisaitl took a discount. He's the highest paid player in the NHL. Did he take a discount? I'm not sold he did. Honestly, he's making $14 million a year. I don't think it's a huge discount. Based on what, honestly? Like, I like Draisaitl. Hell of a player. But is it like Rantanen just signed for $12 million? Is it a huge discount? I don't know. I think it's fair market value for him. Nothing wrong with it, but I don't think it's a discount. I don't think it's like, oh, could have got 16 or 17. And you become the highest paid player in the league. It's hard to say it's a discount for me. I'm not saying it's a bad contract by any stretch, but I just don't know if it's a discount. And no player can renegotiate their contract. Current CBA does not allow it. It'll never be allowed again. Because when you have a salary cap, you can't change the cap hit halfway through. That kind of goes against what their salary cap is like. So that will never happen. Quick break. Mike Rupp will join us next on The Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
McDonald's summer drink days are back, which means it's officially summer. Enjoy your refreshing small Coca-Cola or small iced coffee for just $1 all summer. Summer's booming with summer drink days. Excludes flavored iced coffee at participating McDonald's in Canada. Taxes extra. Prices exclude delivery.
The sun is shining, the weather's warm, and some of Edmonton's favorite sports are back in season. If you're looking for the cherry on top of a perfect summer day, check out Play Alberta to experience casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Download the Play Alberta app today and deposit $20 or more with promo code OIL to claim a $100 casino bonus. That's promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus on us. Gameable once per Play Alberta account. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
The Summer Drive event is on now at Buick. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 60 months on the 2025 Buick Envision. Make your presence known with available 20-inch alloy wheels with pearl nickel finish. Showcase your style with available quilted perforated front leather-appointed seats. And radiate confidence on any drive with Buick's suite of standard safety features. Get behind the wheel of your Buick Envision today. Ask your Buick dealer for details.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Center. Come for Canada's largest trade show, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. Stay for the experience, but it doesn't end there. Maximize your brand exposure with Edmonton Expo Center's new cutting-edge feature screens, spanning Western Canada's largest venue space. Captivate an annual audience of over 1 million visitors during iconic events like Pro Rodeo, Disney on Ice, Glow, K-Days, and so much more. To learn more, call 780-471-7380 or visit EdmontonExpoCenter.com today.
You wanted local sports on weekends. Saturday mornings at 9, check out the Saturday Sports Setup, where we'll tee up what's happening on the weekend sports scene. Tune in Saturday morning at 9 on Sports 1440.
Get ready to revolutionize your job site with Edmonton Kubota's game-changing compact construction equipment. From mini excavators and skid steers to track loaders, carriers, and utility vehicles, they have a model to fit every need, all powered by legendary Kubota diesel engines. These machines are built for performance and reliability. Transform your work with Edmonton Kubota's top-of-the-line compact equipment. Visit them today and see why they're the name you can trust for power and precision.
Scott McGilvery here, HGTV host and renovation expert. The one upgrade I know homeowners will love: better, fresher Culligan water straight from the tap. Culligan's Aquasential reverse osmosis filtration system takes your water to the next level. With up to 7 stages of filtration and 14 filter options, they're certified to reduce over 90 contaminants. Your tap water is about to get a major upgrade: safer water that tastes great. Get started with a free in-home water test at Culligan.com. Culligan, water you love.
Need a solid foundation without the fuss? Richard and Kalina at DCL Pile Driving have your back. Locally owned, they offer straight, driven piles. No screwing around. Serving all of Alberta, DCL Pile Driving gets your foundation ready in hours with minimal ground disturbance. Perfect for tight spaces, whether it's for a deck, grain bins, or RTMs. Tell them the radio sent you and receive a special discounted rate. Call or text 587-322-PILE. DCL Pile Driving. Don't get screwed. Get piles driven.
Hey, Gary, is that your dad?
No, this is Evan, the new sales rep I hired.
Oh.
First impressions matter, but when hair loss takes over, it can feel like you're not being seen for the maverick you truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott, At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we know that hair loss is more than just a cosmetic issue. It's personal. Let's discuss all the cutting-edge options available so you can make a great impression every time.
Book a free consultation today at drvanselliot.com.
Whoop, there it is. 4 days of basketball at its best. Hoop City 2025, North America's largest FIBA 3x3 showcase. The top 4 Olympic teams on both men's and women's categories, featuring Canada's women's Olympic team, with Edmonton's own Michelle and Catherine Bluth. More than just hoops. There's entertainment, long-distance shootout, Grand Slam showcase, plus interactive games and prizes for everyone. Hoop City 3x3 Basketball Festival, July 31st to August 3rd. Ice Palace and West Edmonton Mall. Admission is free, so bring the whole family.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Crystal Glass, your clear choice for residential windows, locally manufactured and installed. Crystal Glass provides a beautiful product and incredible customer services for all of your residential needs. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca for a quote.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.223, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you're having a lovely day. 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. It is the Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. And, of course, if you're a baseball fan, Max Scherzer on the mound today for the Toronto Blue Jays. You also have an NBA draft tonight. Canada, anybody watch that game last night? I know some of the Canadian soccer fans are freaking out. It was a rather physical game, bordering on dirty for sure. Some red cards in the match. It was 0-0 at the half, but Canada then pulls away in the second half and secures first place in their division, and now into the quarter finals for the Gold Cup. And they will be facing, who are they facing? Guatemala this Sunday at 2 p.m. Edmonton time. So Panama, Honduras, Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Canada, Guatemala, and then USA takes on Costa Rica. So USA's got a decent challenge, maybe. We'll see. But Panama, Canada, Mexico, U.S. would be surprised if they're in the Final Four. I would not at all. Let's go around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's, which I'm not surprised. You're loving it right now. $2 Sundays, $2 snack size milkshakes. And if you use the app, you can get $1 cone only at McDonald's. As we welcome in from NHL Network, former NHLer, ace analyst, Mike Rupp joins us. Rupper, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How many jerseys you got there in that fan cave of yours?
Oh man, I got quite a few.
You got your own, which I like. I like that you got your own Rupp jersey, right?
Yeah, so that's that Danbury Trashers jersey from the documentary.
Nice.
Yeah, I got all teams I played for and some of the teammates that I played with as well. So I probably got like, I don't know, 40 jerseys in here right now, but yeah, I like collecting them when I played.
So if someone said, Rupper, I'm going to take all your jerseys but one, which is your most valued jersey?
I have Game 7's jersey from 2003 Cup Finals, so that'd have to be the one for sure.
Would you have 3 points that game?
Yeah. So that one's the. You know what? I did a nice little jersey swap though the other day. Somebody had I had the red jerseys, which at the time the road jerseys, that was when it was home whites. Yeah. So I had the road Stanley Cup final jersey, the red one of the Devils, and a fan that I got in contact with needed that to finish his collection of Stanley Cup Finals jerseys from that year. And he had my first NHL game jersey.
Come on.
And so I was like, oh, that jersey means a lot to me in my first NHL game. So I ended up doing a jersey swap with him on that. It was kind of fun.
Really? Now, the jersey that you had did you pull a Snoop Dogg and sign it to yourself? And like, I want to thank myself. That's one of the greatest speeches. Because honestly, I think sometimes like, dude, you put in a lot of work, right? And then to be a guy in Game 7 to have 3 points, like, I don't care whatever happens the rest of your career, you win a cup and you're like, that's the road hockey dream that you lived out in Game 7.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's actually interesting. No, you know what? I have I got a puck that was really cool because I got it signed. So the first 3 stars of the game were Marty Brodeur. Obviously, he had the shutout in the game, so we won 3-0. Jeff Friesen had 2 goals, and then I was one of them with the 3 points. So I got all 3 of us to sign that. It's just you know, in those moments, I'm surprised. I'm surprised I got that. I do have I have on the wall that probably the most important thing for. As far as just me and my memories is my stick. I got the stick on the wall that I played with in the game. So that's like I don't know. You know, I mean, it feels weird like having all this stuff but that was a cool moment. Like you said, it was a childhood dream. And just to think that, man, I had any kind of impact on the game is something more than I thought I was capable of doing. So I was happy for that.
Oh God. Yeah. So back in 2003, Rupper, as you're watching the Florida Panthers, you guys probably celebrated the same. It just what people weren't, guys weren't taking videos of every time they're on the stage at a bar or anything like that, right? Like I know people are like, oh, these guys party. I'm like, people used to party lots. You didn't have to tell everybody, look at me, I'm partying. You just went out and partied. Yeah, no, it was, I remember doing things like, yeah, you're right. Cause I don't know, you didn't get to even while you were at the functions, like you're not seeing every single thing happen. Now everything's documented, right? So you see guys act in all different ways. But I remember one of the things that we did back then, which it was probably some people probably get a chuckle out of it, but I remember, so we went to Dave Letterman in the city, right? So we were going to come out. We're going to come out with the cup, and we had the guys all going there. And while we were driving, we had like limos that were driving us through the city. And we had the limo stop at MSG, and the guys, we all got out in our jerseys, our Devils jerseys, and went up the MSG steps with the cup and started kind of like, showboating it around, I guess, the Rangers at Madison Square Garden, which, I'm sure that nowadays, if you did something like that for your biggest rival, it would kind of go viral, but no one really saw it. Some fans gave us the finger, but that's about it. Well, as you'd expect, right? Well, plus it's New Yorkers, but yeah, you know what? Hey, have a little fun with it. I think people, some are getting way too sensitive now that, I can't believe that. Yeah. So guys drunk were saying some things they probably regret. Shocking. Like, yeah. let's start a line of people when they got intoxicated might have said something you regret the next day, and then tell me how many people aren't in that line. Like, come on, whatever. People are having fun. Like, if you don't like it, don't watch it. But they're obviously having a good time. Today, Evander Kane, not a huge surprise. The Oilers need a cap space. They move out Evander Kane to Vancouver for the Canucks. What do you make of this deal for the Vancouver Canucks? There's potential for good, but there's also potential for not so good. Yeah, I mean, I hate to, I don't know where Evander Kane is at as far as, we know about some of the off-ice stuff in his career, maybe that, I don't know. He's going back home. So I think with anybody, that could be a good or a bad thing. So you just got to, make sure you got everything and your accountability is there and around you. Vancouver, it's, I don't know. I don't know what to make of Evander because I think he's a unique player. I'd be honest, I was kind of disappointed with him in the finals. I thought that he had a real ability to do some things that would maybe spark the team, and I didn't think that they happened. So it's going to be interesting where this Vancouver team goes. I mean, they're trying to put things back
together to make it look like the team of a couple years ago. I don't know if they have it there, so it can go either way, I think. And I'd probably say the same as far as him. He could be very, very good for them. They need a physical winger like that, but at the same time, I don't know how much stability they have there, to be honest with you.
Well, that's the big one, right? So I'm kind of curious about that. The orders, it frees up some money for them to sign Trent Frederick is basically what it does. And another guy, right? So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 swap here. They get a 4th-round pick. They're going to sign Frederick probably at around $3.8 million. And, maybe you get Kapanen for $1 million. And so you look and say, hey, that's essentially what they're doing. You watch Trent Frederick a lot in the East Coast, Rupper. Yeah. And I talked to Trent. I watched him in the playoffs. And the easiest thing for me to see was when he was hitting, he couldn't follow through. He couldn't hit properly. So he was leaning with his arms because his eye ankle sprain just didn't allow him to play like he is. How different do you think the player the Oilers fans will see next year than the one they saw in the playoffs?
I've like you said, I've seen Trent Frederick quite a bit over the last number of years. And, he's a good hockey player. The fans will love him there. I think he was doing anything he could to try to help out in any way he could. He didn't look like himself in these playoffs from that injury. So I think having that time to kind of get all completely healed up. I mean, he's a warrior in the way he plays. I think he's going to be absolutely loved, and I do think he's got a lot of value. And you hear those. That number where he'd be at, I think that's great. And I think that's something that is a really good and important position to lock up. And I expect him to get a full season in Edmonton and beyond. He'll fit in really good.
Yeah, I totally agree. Mike, Rupp joins. Rubber, what about Trevor Zegras? What do you make of that deal for the Flyers?
Yeah, I mean, the Flyers, they need to try to add some talent, and they've been doing that, right? So they've got the picks, and we know about some of the deals that they made before, and I think they're always looking to try to keep adding pieces, and so I think it's Trevor Zegras is an interesting one to me because I think there's more there than we've seen. I think there's a level of maturity that needs to come there with that player, but I think that maybe this can help, right? Like there's something about, and I got traded at a young age too. I think it was 24 when I got traded. He's, I think 23. It's an eye opener, right? Like it's encouraging in some ways because you have a team that believes in you and wants you to be a part of the core moving forward, and he's got the ability to do that. But at the same time, kind of makes you feel like, well, why didn't it work out at the last place? And you got to kind of self-evaluate. And I think that's important for Trevor Zegras. So, I think that it could work out really good for the Philadelphia Flyers. They're a team right now that I think it's really important for Rick Tocchet to create the correct atmosphere there. And that's the culture that he's trying to create. And they added a guy that has a lot of upside, so that's always good.
Mike Rupp joins us. It is one where you wonder he would not be the first player, Rupper, who got to a new city, and sometimes a trade kind of wakes you up, and you're like, "Damn, I might have to do things a little bit different here." It's just kind of how it goes. The Mitch Marner. If I'd ask you today, Rupper, on July 1st, or maybe it's not till the 2nd, where does he end up next season?
Man. That is really hard because, there's a lot of teams I think that would be interested. I mean, he's a dynamic player, and I hate sometimes saying what I say about him because he's an awesome talent. He's an awesome talent. I think what I mean by that though is I don't know if he could be a driver on a team. He could drive offense. I don't know if he's a guy that, put it this way, like. One of the teams we've heard out there a lot is like a team like Utah. Yeah, I love it for Utah's sake as far as just adding more talent, and they've been kind of waiting over that last year or so. Was Bill Armstrong going to make that big move? Would this be it? Like I don't think he could be the complete driver. I think there's a team out there that he would fit in really well with. And I know people have talked about Vegas. I don't know how they would do it, but I don't know how they've done some of the moves that they have done. They always seem to be swinging for the fences. I think if he goes to a team that has a lot of foundational and structure and things in place, he'll thrive. So I don't know the answer to that. I mean, in my head, there's probably 7 or 8 teams in this league that I'm like, all right, I think they've got a good thing going. If you could just infuse talent in there, it can kind of help get them over the hump. But I have no idea what to make about Mitch Marner July 1st, because I sit there and look at some of the other guys available potentially. I mean, like Nikolai Ehlers was the big one, right? Like that was the big comp, I guess, for a winger. When you start looking at some of these, I think I'd rather pay some of these other guys quite a bit less and have money left over to do other things than pay him what his ticket is. I think where his ticket has been in Toronto for so long is, I mean, that's the starting point for where it's going to be. And I don't know. I think you're going to pay a lot of money for this guy, and I think it's got to be the perfect fit, and who knows if it's going to be.
I'm very curious about Mitch Marner to see, where he ends up ultimately. I think the LA Kings are going to make a push. I think Carolina, they tried at the deadline. They're going to make another push. Vegas will make a push. And if I'll say this though, Rupper, if I was one of those teams, I would sign Mitch Marner, but I would push for a shorter term deal. Because I need to, do I want to commit 8 years to a guy who has 13 goals in 70 playoff games? And we're going to pay him $12 million plus. Now, maybe he'll play way better in the playoffs and score some goals when he's outside of Toronto. It's possible, but I would need to see like that. And I could see Marner saying, okay, well, you know what? If I believe in myself, then in 4 years when the cap's going to be 118, I'll get another raise. So I'm just kind of curious about that, because this is not a guy like a Draisaitl or a McDavid who has a proven track record of dominating in the playoffs, or even Mikko Rantanen.
No, it's fair. I mean, it's true. And so the one thing I think in hockey that we've talked about for so long, and I wonder if we're starting to see a change in that in some regards. I think it's always been the term has been what everybody wants, right? And everybody seeks, and it still is. It's very important. I think that when you had those flat cap years, I mean, all that stuff coming out of COVID, I mean, all of a sudden now it's the cap has gone up significantly. It looks like the league's in a great place and it's going to have that continual growth. I think we're in a stage now where players, especially those high-end players, they should probably look to go a little shorter term. I mean, the fact that if you can sit there and look at it, I mean, hey, listen, not to get into this, but like the fact that if there's ever a world where Connor's not the highest paid player in the league, like that is great for the team, but it's not necessarily for the player. You know what I'm saying? And when you want to always kind of be able to re-up that and shorter term, yes, there's risk involved 100%. And I'm not talking about Connor and what he should do in that negotiation. I'm just saying in general, when you have a star player like that, I mean, if you can go 3-year deal, 4-year deal, like you can turn around real quick and really push it up and make quite a bit more money over the long haul.
Mike Rupp joins us here on Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Rupper, the Florida Panthers, back-to-back champs. You got Marchand, Bennett, Ekblad. Is it just too easy to say Ekblad's not coming back, or do you think that they'll get both Marchand and Bennett signed?
I mean, it feels too easy. Obviously, Bill Zito's saying all the right things. He wants all three of them. I mean, why wouldn't you? You just won the cup, and I don't see it. All three getting re-signed. I think Ekblad would be the odd man out, but yeah, I don't see a world where Sam Bennett and Brad Marchand sign anywhere else. I really don't. And some of the behavior that's been captured in these celebrations kind of would I don't know, back that up as far as them talking about insinuating extensions already being done and in the top drawer. But like, Aaron Ekblad's one to me. It's because he's the captain. He's been there, obviously a first overall pick. It feels weird, but I also think this is an opportunity for him. I mean, there's a lot of teams that could use a guy like Aaron Ekblad. And I thought one of the things when we talked about the Florida Panthers in the finals in particular, Aaron Ekblad was really, really good. He did a heck of a job against Edmonton in the finals. Outside of the one highlight goal by the goal was by Draisaitl, but the move by McDavid. But there's going to be plenty of teams out there. I just don't believe that they could bring him back unless there's just a significant discount that he's willing to give.
Yeah, I look at Bennett, and as much as his playoffs have been unreal, but he's a $7.5 million player. He's not more than that. He just isn't. And so if he signs for that, it's not a bargain deal that I know Biz is trying to pump out 10 million because then he can tell everyone he gave a discount. So it stays in line with his theory that Florida's no taxes is killing him. So I get it, Biz. I see you. I see through your strategy. But I think ultimately that's what Bennett is. He's a $7.5 million player.
Yeah, I think he knows that too. Listen, I think Sam Bennett has a pretty good self-awareness on what he is as a player. And that doesn't mean that because things didn't work out in Calgary and whatever, but he's seen how being in maybe the wrong place or not used, I don't want to even say not used the right way, but you need a good fit to thrive. Like that is very important. And he has that there. That being in Florida makes him a more valuable player in the postseason in particular than he would be otherwise in some other places. I think that you take all that into account. I mean, this is a guy that I don't think sits there and looks and says, oh man, I can go make 10 at all these different places and that's going to be best for me. So, they outside of even the state tax or no state tax and all the things that I know is getting a lot of attention. I think the biggest thing is that he looks around, he's like, I'm valued here. I'm really good here. We're a better team because of me, and I'm a better player because of this team.
Yeah, very true. Rupper, man, it's been great having you on all year long. I know you get into the offseason, although maybe if you want to do one more hit to recap free agency next Wednesday?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm working free agency day, so let's do it.
We'll do one more before you get into your summer of boating and everything else. It's a tough life that you live. So,
all right,
awesome.
buddy. Sounds good.
Talk again.
All right, take care.
That is Mike Rupp from NHL Network. We'll take a quick break, and there's a chance again. Many of you should watch because there is going to be another name that you should be watching closely announced later tonight. We'll tell you who on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
You have a choice, and it's a hard one. GMC employee pricing or 0% financing at Wolf GMC Buick. A hard choice, but also super awesome. Get GMC employee pricing on our Sierra lineup, from the Sierra half-ton to the heavy duties. If you have cash, get discounts over $12,000 on many of our Sierras, along with GMC pricing. Or choose 0% financing on our Sierra half-ton lineup. And what a great selection of GMC Terrains and fabulous Buick SUVs to pick from. So many choices. But one thing's for sure, you are getting the best deal at Wolf GMC Buick.
Well, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at EWEL.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
At Fitted Golf, we know that you continue to believe.
It's not my clubs. Really, it's my swing.
Except it's already June and you're still not playing the game you want because you continue to insist it's not your clubs. Except it really is your clubs. And we prove it every day. Fitted Golf customers continue to be amazed at how good they actually are when they use the right clubs for their swing. Why would you play the game you love but not love the way you play it? From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Visit fittedgolf.ca.
Are you an elite athlete or weekend warrior and you just want to enjoy playing the sport you love with less or even no pain? Have you tried every exercise and stretch imaginable, hoping the next one might do the trick? Well, you tried analog. At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we believe healing can move along better and sometimes even faster with evidence-based technology techniques and the people who know how and when to apply it. StimPod, zero-gravity treadmills, radial shockwave, and so much more at your fingertips when you click to find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
Rivalries run deep in Alberta football.
Edmonton all the way.
Calgary rules.
But when it comes to the best snack for 3-down fun, there's no Battle of Alberta. It's a clear winner.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky.
The one thing every Alberta fan agrees on. So whether you're watching the game from your recliner or in the stands, make it a part of your game day.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky. Because you don't win games with salad. Only available in Leduc.
Ah, summer. The sun's out, the road's calling. And your car said, nope. Don't let your summer road trip turn into a roadside nap. Swing by Napa Auto Parts. Napa has the trusted tools, smarts, and quality parts for all your automotive needs this summer. Get your vehicle ready for the road and just in time for your kids to start testing your patience and sanity.
Are we there yet?
With over 85 locations in Alberta, visit your local Napa store today or online at napacanada.com. That's Napa know-how.
Every morning, you look in the mirror and see less of yourself. Hair loss can feel like losing a part of who you are.
But it doesn't have to be that way. Hi, I'm Dr. Vance Elliott. At Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery, we understand the pain of hair loss. Our advanced hair restoration solutions won't just bring back your hair. They'll help you face the mirror with confidence.
Good morning, you sexy beast.
Visit drvanceelliott.com today because it's time to be the man you remember.
Portions of this hour brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Employee pricing is on now at GMC. Get up to a $12,000 off on a 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Denali Ultimate. Only at gmccanada.ca.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you are having a lovely day. It is Wednesday. It is draft day in the NBA. It's draft week, of course, as you have NHL draft Friday, NBA draft going tonight, Friday, Saturday for the NHL, of course, round one Friday, and then they get the rest on Saturday. As we get to our basketball report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home with no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer long at legacyheating.ca. Host of the basketball show Saturday mornings here at Sports 1440, Paul Sir joins us. Paul, how you doing?
Doing great. Just from the frying pan into the fire, Jason. Game 7 ends, we jump right into the draft.
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. We'll get to the draft. It seems like it's obvious a foregone conclusion. Who's going to go number one tonight? That I don't think there's going to be any surprise there. But just the fact that there's not often where a number one pick goes to a team that's got a roster with some like legitimate all-stars on the team, like the Dallas Mavericks have. With Kyrie, who just signed the big contract, obviously got the big man in Davis. Like Cooper Flagg is going to be in a pretty good situation where he's not going to have to be the guy right away.
Absolutely. The way things shook out this year in the NBA with Dallas and that bizarre trade of Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis, and then to end up with Cooper Flagg in the draft with a 1.8% chance. But hey, that's the lottery, I guess. And you're right. Cooper Flagg does not have to step in and be the man right out of the gate. Kyrie Irving has to continue his rehab and be able to come back and be Kyrie Irving at some point during the season. But if Anthony Davis can stay healthy, he can lead the way, and Cooper Flagg can find his way as he comes out of the gate and adapts to the NBA level of competition.
Yeah, well, it does take a while, and it's a big adjustment. I don't care if it's the NBA, NFL, NHL. It's really hard. MLB, there's very few guys who get drafted and come right in anyway to MLB. So, we'll see. Now, after him, though, you look at like Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, Con Nuppel, Jeremiah Fears, Ace Bailey, some guys, maybe even Malak out of Duke that are probably projected to go somewhere in the 2 to 7 range. Any of those guys you like the best, and why?
The guy I like, well, Harper should be a real good NBA player. He's a great playmaker, high basketball IQ, has the right body, has the right kind of style of play that will adapt very, very well and translate into the NBA, which is always the big challenge. Is you come out of college, do you play the way they play in the NBA? Harper's one of those guys that does. Ace Bailey, there's some question marks. They really don't know. Kneppel, I like him. I think he's never going to be a first-team All-NBA player, but he should be a real good complementary player because of the way he shoots the basketball and the fact that he's a real tough defender. Again, high basketball IQ, good passer. I look for him to do really well, and not to focus exclusively on the Dukies, but when you look at the big kid out of Duke, now, Malawak, he's probably got as much upside as anybody in the draft not named Cooper Flagg, because he's so long, he's so athletic, he's just growing into his body. I mean, he could go into the NBA, be on a roster, and really be a game changer. One other, too, that I think really has to be mentioned is Jeremiah Fears out of Oklahoma. Okay. Crafty, smart, tough, should step right in. He's like 23 years old, should be able to step right in and be an NBA caliber player right out of the gate.
Now, let's move to the Canadians, because it looks like there's going to be 2 Canadians drafted. Will Riley is most likely going to go in the first round. He's the shooting guard, small forward out of Illinois, 6'8" and change. He's pretty lean, though. But, he's a young guy, and there seems to be a lot of people who think, this guy's potential, will probably exceed maybe where he gets drafted. I've seen him anywhere from, 15 to 25, give or take. Some teams, OKC, Brooklyn, Atlanta, New Orleans, who are interested in him. What do you like about Riley's game, Paul?
Well, exactly as you described, Jason. He's long, he's versatile. He can really shoot the basketball. That's what I like the most about him. At 6'8", 6'9", with length, he really has the opportunity to step into the league and be able to make an impact in the right situation. So I think Riley is exactly as you described him. I think his impact on a franchise could exceed what his draft position may be. And so I think Riley is a great Canadian prospect for the NBA. Within 1 to 2 years, he should be making contributions to the team that he's being drafted on or eventually ends up with. Ryan Nembhard, on the other hand, from Gonzaga via Creighton, with his brother just really playing extremely well for the Indiana Pacers, doing, such a spirited job of trying to somehow slow down and at times being successful against SGA in the NBA Finals. Nembhard's undersized point guard, but off the chart basketball IQ. Led the NBA in assists this last year. He's one of those guys. Will he end up being like a Malachi Flynn, who comes to the Toronto Raptors, undersized point guard, never quite finds his legs? I think in Ryan's case, Jason, what's really going to dictate his ability to succeed in the NBA is where he lands. Because on the right team, he can contribute. On a team where he's not a priority to them, he could get buried like a lot of undersized point guards have happened to them.
Yeah, Ryan Nembhard, of course, a younger brother, Andrew. And, when you watch the Pacers, it wasn't just his brother's tenacious play that probably helped him, right? They're watching the game. They're like, hey, this is a younger brother. This guy is just, he's a dog on a bone every game he plays. There's also not young, but small McConnell, who is, hugely impactful in that series for the Pacers. and beat a smaller guy himself. So, maybe timing sometimes recency bias is legit for all of us in life. And this might help Nembhard in the fact that they were watching everything and they're seeing his brother, and then they're seeing another small guy and they're saying, hey, and by the way, this guy's the best passer in NCAA last year.
I think that's a great summary. And I did not make the connection on TJ McConnell, but I think that's a very valid point, is that small and, long and athletic and all of the measurements that metrics that people look at don't add up to heart and intelligence and basketball IQ and contribution, as both Ryan Nembhard and TJ McConnell proved in spades in their contributions for the Pacers. I mean, McConnell's a revelation, a guy who can't dunk.
No.
and he's out there and he's absolutely just a whirling dervish out there making special plays. But he has that motor. And I think if anything, for a player like Nembhard, I think what we're going to have to see is if he has a similar motor, because you have to have that if you're undersized.
Well, the fact that he set school records for most assists in a season, consider that John Stockton also played at Gonzaga and he beat him. That's pretty impressive category for Nembhard to be in. And he's probably a late second round pick, I think, for sure, if he goes. And, who knows? I always wonder, Paul, is it better to be a late second rounder, or is it better to be a free agent and pick which team signs you? Because lots of guys get signed after not being drafted in the NBA. And then you kind of know that you can look up and down the roster to know, if I go here, I got a better chance to play.
I think you hit it right on the head. It probably, especially for an undersized player, is better to be a free agent, so to speak, as a draft eligible player, than to go and be pigeonholed into a second round pick where you're not a top priority for that franchise. You don't necessarily have a great shot at making the roster right away, and then you get sent to the G League. I really hope that Nembhard gets the opportunity to play, as I mentioned in my early remarks. I hope he gets to play where he's wanted and where he's valued, because with what he brings, he could be a great contributor in the right situation. And John Stockton is a prime example. If John Stockton doesn't play for Jerry Sloan, or if Steve Nash doesn't play in Phoenix, I don't know that they have the careers that they have in other franchises who maybe didn't understand how to work with their unique talents.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Now, looking at the draft itself, when we talk about someone, is there a player, Paul, that you like maybe outside the top five that you think this guy is, now, if he gets to the right situation, he's really going to work out well?
Well, there's a kid that I really like named Kasparas I'll butcher the name, Jaku Sionis, European player. Pardon?
The point guard out of Illinois?
Yeah, I really like him.
Okay.
He's tough. He's got that European, he's not Luka Doncic, but he's Luka Doncic-like in how he plays. He's smart. He does those little things that Europeans do better than most North Americans do that translate really well to the NBA. Being able, with the Euro step off the bounce, take deliberate moves, be able to draw and kick. Like, I watched him several times this year because I wanted to watch Riley play. And I really like Riley. He's a very straight up traditional player, good motor, can shoot it like we talked about. But this young guy has that opportunity in the right situation to, again, he's not going to average 25 a game. He's not going to be Luka, but he could come in and really, really make a contribution to a team. And I think quite quickly, because he has, again, that Euro background where he played against men from a very young age, and he comes in already battle hardened and ready for the kind of physical play that exists in the NBA.
Paul, great stuff. What's coming up on the show this weekend?
We're going to talk to Brody Clark, who was inducted by the Edmonton Stingers as their first inductee into their Ring of Honor this past weekend in the Stingers' nice victory this past Sunday. So Brody and I are going to have a good opportunity to reminisce. Next week, I'm going to have Xavier Moon on for a really good conversation. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then I have Pat Boylan back. We're going to do a post-mortem on he's the Indiana Pacer, Indiana Fever play-by-play guy, and we're going to do the post-mortem on the Indiana Pacers Game 7 loss to OKC, and then we're going to talk about troubles in with the Fever and the kind of rocky, bumpy start that they've had to their season. So it's going to be a great show, plus CBL and all kinds of other NBA stuff.
Yeah, well, we'll be interested to see what the Stingers can get up to tomorrow night. So we'll look forward to that. Paul, as always, thanks for your time, man. Have a great day.
You too, Jason. Thank you.
That is Paul Sir, the host of the basketball show on Sports 1440 every Saturday. Of course, the Stingers, I don't think are in action. They're not even playing tomorrow. That was my bad. Their next game isn't until the 29th, in fact, which comes up on Sunday afternoon. And but hey, the Stingers are on a little bit of a roll here. They're back to 500. So you might want to check in, see the Stingers. It seems to have found their game a little bit. Let's take a quick break. Let's get to the Con Man and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Fountain Tire, your one-stop shop. Tire checks, yes. Oil changes, yes. Alignments, brake inspections, they'll do it all to ensure you're on the road, not on the shoulder. FountainTire.com.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Okay, so you missed that Evander Kane has been traded from the Oilers to the Vancouver Canucks for a 4th-round pick in this year's draft. No salary retained. Kane missed the entire regular season while recovering from multiple surgeries, but in the playoffs had 6 goals, 12 points in 21 games. Round 1 of the NBA draft gets going tonight from Brooklyn with the Dallas Mavericks on the clock. That gets going at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And the Riverhawks in action out in Victoria once again, taking on the Harbor Cats. Looking to make it 2 straight on the island. First pitch set for 7:35. Major League Baseball this evening. The Jays taking on the Guardians once again. First pitch 4:40. 2 games underway right now. Red Sox lead the Angels 2-0 in the third, and midway through the fourth, Padres up on the Nationals 1-0. Montreal captain Marie-Philippe Poulin won the PWHL's Billie Jean King MVP award for this past season, finishing the year with 19 goals, finishing 4th with points with 26 in 30 games. And in the WNBA tonight, you got the Valkyries hosting the Liberty at 8. Also at 8, the Aces taking on the Connecticut Sun. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll hear Cam Tate's 2-minute warning. Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation will drop by and we'll ask 5 questions. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Reports suggest the Canadian taste buds are bored to tears.
My mouth can't handle another dull drink.
Summertime smoothie experts everywhere are recommending a watermelon wake-up from Booster Juice.
It's so smooth, cool, and refreshing.
And ridiculously delicious. Enjoy the Watermelon Wave and Watermelon Explosion smoothies, available all summer long at a Booster Juice near you. Stay cool, Canada.
Booster Juice, Canadian-born, blending since 1999.
The Summer Drive event is on now at Buick. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 60 months on the 2025 Buick Envision. Make your presence known with available 20-inch alloy wheels with pearl nickel finish. Showcase your style with available quilted, perforated front leather-appointed seats. And radiate confidence on any drive with Buick's suite of standard safety features. Get behind the wheel of your Buick Envision today. Ask your Buick dealer for details.
You don't have to wait. Boxing Day is back at the Brick. For 4 days, shop incredible deals, like mattresses starting at just $99. Save big on genuine leather sofas and sectionals. Queen beds start at only $199. And save the tax when you buy 2 or more major kitchen appliances. Plus, get free local delivery on outdoor furniture purchases of $499 or more. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. Boxing Day starts Friday at the Brick, saving you more.
Mr. Rooter toasts the newlyweds.
A relationship is like a hot water tank. It brings warmth, but only if you start with a spark. Your love is the pilot light, and the burner is your love growing from that tiny spark. And the anti-corrosion anode rod is the sacrifices you make for each other to keep things from getting all gross and crusty. May your love last as long as a Mr. Rooter workmanship guarantee.
For life. For a plumber you'll keep for life. Call Mr. Rooter.
Back by popular demand, the Operation 36 Junior Golf Program at Cattail Crossing Golf Club. Designed for kids ages 5 through 17. It combines instruction and on-course play, focusing on technique, strategy, and course management. Taught by certified CPGA pros. Only $325 for 4 weeks of instruction, plus 4 9-hole rounds of golf. Operation 36, Wednesdays 5:30 till 7:30 p.m. through August. Register at cattailcrossing.ca. Click on Junior Program or call 780-973-6686.
Hey everybody, it's Gene Principe. How would you like to join me and others? It's the Edmonton Hockey Legends Cruise, and it's the summer of 2026. It begins July 17th, 7 nights on the Mexican Riviera. We go to Cabo, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, and visit cast.tours/Edmonton. Number to call is 1-833-347-7678.
Save $200 when you mention promo code Stingray Radio. That's cast.tours or call 1-833-347-7678.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Harley-Davidson of Edmonton on the Yellowhead Trail, locally owned and operated by the Kent family and celebrating 45 years. See all our rides at hdedmonton.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.308, welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oiler Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you are having a lovely Wednesday. Man, what a busy week for sports. I love it. There's no downtime in the sports world, man. It's fantastic. Always lots going on. NBA. Man, imagine how many trades there's going to be at the NBA draft tonight. And it's always kind of interesting to watch some of the trades that are made. And you know, at the time, people are like, ho hum. You know what was a great trade? The 2023 when the OKC traded from 12 to 10. Well, they did essentially trade it because that's odd about the NBA is the guy gets drafted number 10. He walks on stage. He puts on the hat to pick the team, the OKC Thunder. And then they've got a trade already with the team who's picking 12th. I don't understand why they don't make the swap before. It's one thing I've never understood about the NBA. It's kind of odd. I don't really get it. So you let the guy go up there. He takes the picture. He's got his hat on of his team. 3 picks later, another guy goes up. He puts the pick of that team, and then they trade him. It's so weird. I don't understand it. Might have to get someone on from the NBA as to why they keep doing that. Like, why wouldn't you make the trade before the pick? Right? If you're going to make the trade, let's make the trade now. You get to pick the guy you want. Because usually it's okay. You take that guy for us, then we're going to take the guy you want, and then we trade them. It's such an odd thing. Very odd thing for me. So, I don't know why. Cons, have you ever seen an explanation as to why they do that?
No. It is kind of funny. It makes for good trivia, though, right? What team originally selected Vince Carter, before they made the trade? Who was it, Antoine Jameson back in that day?
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of a unique thing, but what Luka Doncic for Trae Young, those sorts of things. Yeah, it's good trivia, but I don't know the real purpose for it.
Yeah, I don't get it all. So, does not make sense whatsoever. So, hey, Gregor, I always thought it'd be funny when the Mavericks win a title before Doncic leads the Lakers from Montana to Rice. Oof, could you imagine? What's interesting about that Dallas trade with Doncic is if you read some of the articles from people in Dallas, they're firm believers that the owner was trying, because they wanted to build a new facility that would have a casino attached to it, and they said no. And so then it was like, they're like, okay, well, we're going to take our basketball and we're going to pout. And they're like, we're going to trade away the best player so fans aren't going to come, and then we can relocate the team. Like, that's what they firmly believe the organization was doing to make that trade. And then they win the draft lottery. And some people said, see, the league's like, you're not moving. But no, it's, who knows? The last part might just be a conspiracy theory joint. But it is kind of fascinating to see what happened there, that the owner didn't get their way with the new facility with the casino attached. And so then they're looking to say, well, we'll move to a state that will give us that. So kind of crazy. Coming up in this hour, Yaremchuk will be by. We'll get to Cam Tate right away in the 2-minute warning. Got a lot of text flying in, 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. Hey, guys, any chance that Marner does a sign and trade from Martin? Well, I guess there's a chance, Martin. But here's the thing. So if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs at this stage, to do a sign and trade, like, what are you going to get out of it? Right? So Marner's going to get an extra year. And the team, like, if I'm signing Mitch Marner, why do I want the 8th year? Does it matter that much? Honestly, does it? Like, I know you can say, well, if you're on an 8-year deal, you get that extra guaranteed money. So I get, but if I'm those teams that say, hey, you didn't want to sign in Toronto, no problem. We're going to sign you, and this is what we're going to pay you. Away you go. So I think a sign and trade, like, I'm trying to remember, when has it ever happened in the NHL? We had a big ticket sign and trade deal. Like, I'm sure it has. Can you remember the last one? Anybody? Because off the top of my head, I can't remember one. Like, I've seen guys get their rights traded for like a 3rd-round pick. And, you know, sometimes if you actually up signing them, it comes into this. And we've seen players traded for their rights for a 4th-rounder, and then nothing happens. Right? Nothing happens. So, see. Well, was Matthew Tkachuk a sign and trade? I'd have to look back at that. I don't know. I'd have to look back at Tkachuk and see if he was a sign and trade or not. Maybe he was, Cons. You want to look that up? I don't know, because there was Huberdeau and Uyghur. Because I thought it was after July 1st, if I'm not mistaken, right? I got to see the date to the day that Tkachuk was because no, it wasn't a sign and trade. Tkachuk was traded in July 25th. So I don't see takes the he agreed to an 8-year contract with Florida that takes it forward to he got 8-year deal because when they signed him on July 25th, he wasn't a free agent, right? The Flames had filed for club elected salary arbitration with Tkachuk that year. So I get, maybe it was signed.
I am reading here. Yeah, he signed 8 years, $76 million before being traded to the
traded.
Panthers.
Okay, so there you go. So that was the one. So it happens, but that wasn't before free agency, right? Like he was an RFA under contract and then signed his extension, go into arbitration. Funny enough. So here we are on June 25th. Like, what's the benefit now for Toronto? Because that, as much as that was a sign and trade, like, it was a legit, he wasn't a pending free agent that was 5 days away from just walking away for nothing. He was going to stay in Calgary for minimum a year. So a little bit different of a situation. Like a pure UFA who did it, pending UFA, tough one. And I think I'm not sure there's enough love between the two sides to feel like they're going to do any deal that helps one or the other. That's kind of how I view it. So let's get to the 2-minute warning with Cam Tate, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. They're hiring. You want to work for a fantastic company? You get a hiring bonus. You also get tuition reimbursement, RSP matching. Send your resume at legacyheating.ca. Cam Tate, of course, longtime journalist in town. Cam has cerebral palsy. Was born with it. Is in a wheelchair. Always wanted to be in radio, but due to the disability, speaking wasn't able to do it until now. Through the wonders of technology, Cam's words come to life in the 2-minute warning.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a brand new thing we're introducing today. As in right now, at this very point in your life. As in right now, Gregor. Right frickin' now. Listen, I'm not going to pull a Trump. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Today, mark it down. Over there, Connor Halley is OATD. Number 1. Got that? There, Siri. Get that plugged into your gizmo. OTAD. Talk to me. Now, work with me. Better yet, repeat after me. OTAD. Come on. One more time. OTAD. ... And, my goodness gracious, this is day number 1 of OTA. How does that get you fired up? Day number 1. And it began with sending Evander Kane to sing that old Tom Jones tune, The Green, Green Grass of Home. Oilers traded him to Vancouver as Stan Bowman and Jeff Jackson start rebuilding their team a little over a week after the Stanley Cup Finals. And I suspect ATO could very well last to Tuesday, as in July 1, as in free agent frenzy. That's why OTAD is so important right now, because when the Oilers go shopping Tuesday, they're going to make sure there's some cashola in the old bank. So keep it here on Sports 1440 for the next few days, as we will have the latest on OTAD. Now I'll pull the drape over what OTAD is. Ready? OTAD. 1 trade a day. I'll say it again. 1 trade a day. The 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Gregor Show. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Sports 1440.
The 2-minute warning with Cam Tate. Gregor Show. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Sports 1440.
OTAD. I think people can get behind that. Hey, Con Man, 1 trade a day. Wow, that's imagine if there was 1 trade a day. That means there'd be 6 trades. But could there be 1 trade a day over the next few? I think Victor Arvidsson is definitely going to get traded. After that, would there be a goalie trade? I think it's possible. I do. And we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But could you imagine if there's a trade tomorrow and a trade Friday? That'd be fantastic. I think we'd be all for it. Be like sports radio dream. Every day there's a trade. You get a trade and you get a trade. Be fantastic. Be all over it. 833-401-1440. 833-401-1440. Hey, guys. Thoughts on the Kane trade? I hear cap dump, but how do you replace physical player who can score and bring an edge in this era of players with inflated contracts? We were already physically outplayed. From Richie. When I look at that series, I don't know if like Florida, it was more their style. They were aggressive and consistent on the forecheck. Right? They didn't like rock the Oilers defensemen. They were just relentless in their forecheck. So, it's a style that worked very well for Florida. Do I think Edmonton could use a little bit more sandpaper? 100%. But you have to look at things. So Evander Kane, he's 34 years of age. He turns 34 this summer. He makes $5 million. And there are other circumstances. The Oilers don't have a lot of cap space. They want to make some cap space. So Kane, 5.12, that frees up. So if you sign Trent Frederick, who's 7 years younger, for $3.8 million, that still leaves you 1.3 to get another player. Plus, you got the 4th-round draft pick. That's really how I view the trade. And then there's the other factor that they'll never come out and say it, but I've heard it from enough people. Where there's smoke, there's fire. He's not the most beloved player in the locker room. Not everybody has to be singing Kumbaya. I get it. But Evander Kane and multiple, now some teammates love him. That's fine. But I think this was time. Good for him. great. But I don't think this, first of all, he didn't play all regular season last year. So I don't think they're going to miss him in the regular season because they didn't have him in the regular season last year. So we'll start there, right? Because the goal is to get to the playoffs. Now, if you're worried about the production thing overall, okay, valid. I believe then the Edmonton Oilers at the trade deadline is where you will see them on and involved in adding a player of a top 6 forward caliber when you only have to pay 1/6 of his cap hit towards your cap. That's what I see happening at the trade deadline. Edmonton's not going to replace everything. But first of all, they don't have to replace Kane in the regular season because he didn't play in the regular season last year. Right? And the Oilers, keep in mind, the Oilers are the 7th highest scoring team in the league until Draisaitl and McDavid each, what do they play? Like 3 and 2 games of the last 12? 4 and 2, not many. Right? So they were fine without Kane, and I think they'll be fine again this year without Kane in the regular season. There'll be some onus, I think, to replace some more at the trade deadline. That's how I view it. 833-401-1440. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game. It's Lotto 649, the OG of the lottery. $10 million, a smooth $10 million for the gold ball jackpot and the classic jackpot of $5 million tonight. Get your tickets at PlayAlberta.ca.
Shining, the weather's warm, and some of Edmonton's favorite sports are back in season. If you're looking for the cherry on top of a perfect summer day, check out Play Alberta to experience casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Download the Play Alberta app today and deposit $20 or more with promo code OIL to claim a $100 casino bonus. That's promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus on us. Redeemable once per Play Alberta account. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
At Fitted Golf, we know that you continue to believe.
It's not my clubs. Really, it's my swing.
Except it's already June, and you're still not playing the game you want because you continue to insist it's not your clubs. Except it really is your clubs, and we prove it every day. Fitted Golf customers continue to be amazed at how good they actually are when they use the right clubs for their swing. Why would you play the game you love but not love the way you play it? From beginners to pros, Fitted Golf makes all the difference. Visit fittedgolf.ca.
And now Action Electrical's testing team is on defense duty. They're the guardians of safety and compliance, a critical part of any lineup.
Precisely. They perform rigorous safety and code compliance testing for commercial operations. Think of them as the referees, ensuring everything is up to standard before disaster strikes.
Their preventative plays are legendary, spotting faults early. Hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Experience Edmonton Stingers Pro Basketball. Bring the whole crew on Sunday, June 29th at 4 p.m. It's the most affordable, family-friendly, fun sports experience in the city. Tickets start at just $20. thestingers.ca.
McDonald's summer drink days are back, which means it's officially summer. Enjoy your refreshing small Coca-Cola or small iced coffee for just $1 all summer. Summer's booming with summer drink days. Excludes flavored iced coffee at participating McDonald's in Canada. Taxes extra. Prices exclude delivery.
It was a heck of a ride. Thanks to the Edmonton Oilers for a fun playoff run. Now it's time to turn to football, soccer, baseball, and other summer sports from the team at Sports 1440, Edmonton's sports leader.
Find the perfect tractor for any job at Edmonton Kubota. Their massive selection of compact tractors has something for everyone, whether you're tackling small tasks or big projects. And right now, take advantage of 0% financing for up to 72 months. It's never been easier to get the power and reliability you need. Come down to Edmonton Kubota today and drive away with the tractor that's just right for you. Edmonton Kubota, where your perfect tractor awaits.
So with all the news about tariffs and price hikes coming our way, you have to be strategic with your money. St. Albert Dodge knows that and has some good news for you. Right now, all Ram 1500s are available with 0% financing for up to 72 months. So think about it. You can get into a brand new Ram 1500 right now at pre-tariff prices, while selection is still good, and pay 0 interest on your financing. That keeps more money in your pocket. And that's how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Papa John's. Use promo code Gregor and get 20% off your order all day, every day. That's promo code Gregor before entering your order at papajohns.ca.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you are having an awesome Wednesday. If you missed it, the Edmonton Oilers have traded Evander Kane to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for a 4th-round draft pick. It's actually the 4th-round draft pick they traded to Vancouver for Vasily Podkolzin, and Vancouver is taking all of the $5.125 million cap hit of Evander Kane, so the Oilers free up the money. Now, let's get to the Oil Report, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton, as the Discovery Day deal continues on through the month of June, where you can get unreal deals on Volvo XC90s, XC60s, XC40s. Leases starting at 0.49%. You can save anywhere from $3,000 up to $5,000, depending on the size of the vehicle. Check it out, VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. Tyler Yaremchuk from Oilers Nation and Daily Faceoff joins us. Ty, how you doing?
I'm good, Greggs. We got some news to talk about today. Nothing gives you a bit more pep in your step going into work than knowing you got something fresh to talk about.
Yeah, this isn't a surprise, I don't think, really. The destination, I'm not even hugely shocked about that. Kane had a little bit of say in where he was going. I'm kind of curious, having heard all more of the behind the stuff scenes here about Kane, and the fact that Edmonton just got out from the salary. They're going to try to do the same with Arvidsson without giving up anything. And if they do, that frees up $9.125 million. That's going to allow them to have some flexibility to get some forwards and possibly a goaltender.
Yeah, I think what'll be interesting on the forward front too, like obviously there's been talk about the 3 UFAs, assuming Trent Frederick's done. You got Kapanen, Brown, and Perry. Do they sit there and try to bring back 2 of those 3, all 3 of them? Do they maybe try to shed even more salary and aim a little bit higher? I think it's more the former. I would think they're going to use this space to bring back 2 of Kapanen, Perry, or Brown, lowercase forward additions, and then probably take the savings that they're going to get from this and spend it on a goaltender, or at least a sizable chunk of it on a goaltender.
Yeah, the thing about a goaltender is like if we look at trade assets, they don't have a boatload of trade assets to get the goalie. Like I know people are talking about there's Gibson, like the Demko trade to me is a pretty risky trade, to be honest. And even the Gibson one is fairly risky depending on what the return is and how much Anaheim's going to retain. I think a free agent market might be the better one. I know Jake Allen's the one guy people talk about, but I'm hearing Jake Allen might get $5 million in free agency.
Yeah, I mean, and committing $5 million, no matter what the term is, to 34, soon to be, I think, 35-year-old Jake Allen, I think that would be a massive, massive mistake. Like, here's the thing with the Oilers. You have Jack Campbell's money sitting on the side. Like, you can't afford to take a risk on a goalie, but the problem is, as you can outline, is there's risk everywhere. So I do think right now some of the prices are inflated, and I wonder if that's going to change, especially with a guy like Gibson, where Anaheim might maybe be starting to itch a little bit to get him out of there and truly give Lucas Dostal the net. But like, you think back to last summer, Griggs, or 2 summers ago when the Jacob Markstrom deal went down, Calgary ate $2 million of that for a full 2 seasons, or was it 3 seasons? They got a 1st-round pick in Kevin Ball, who, again, was a meh prospect, a B-level prospect at the time, if you want to call him that. Like, the fact that Anaheim, without retaining money, is sitting here and reportedly, Frank said the other day, maybe 2 first-round picks for John Gibson is Anaheim's asking price. That's just so out of line from what goalies usually get. Like even Mackenzie Blackwood, who was having a great year with San Jose, got traded midseason. He didn't even come close to anything like that. So I do think right now there are teams who are maybe hoping to catch the Oilers, and I guess throw Philly in there as the other team who's really chasing a true number 1 starter. I think they're maybe trying to see if they're going to get desperate and can pit them against each other. as unpopular as this might be, the smart play for the Oilers might just to be patient for a little bit here and see if maybe in the first week of July, does Anaheim go, okay, we'll keep some money then and make this move for you, or do make some sort of concession to make the a potential Gibson deal and the risk that comes with it at least a little bit easier to stomach.
Yeah, I look at Jake Allen, and I like Jake Allen as a goalie, but man, $5 million, like, come on. He's 35 years of age, and he wasn't a starter. He hasn't been a starter for a few years. The last time he's a starter, he lost his job to Binnington, right? And they won the cup without him. So I said it all along. With more money back in free agency, the lunacy will return. And I'm telling you, even last year, the Oilers shopping on July 1st wasn't great shopping. It didn't end up going very well. Now, it wasn't decimating because it was short term, so that's why it's okay. But to me, now I don't expect the Oilers to sign anybody long term on free agency. Now they're probably going to sign Trent Frederick, but he's not a UFA. And even at $3.8 million, I might be in the minority here, but Trent Frederick at $3.8 million, when you consider in a few years what the cap will be, that's exactly equivalent to like a $2.7 million player today. It's not a bad contract at all. I look at the Oilers though, and so you're not going to get Jake Allen because it's too high. Alex Lyon, Anton Forsberg. You get one. Who would you want?
Oh man. I would maybe lean a little bit more to Alex Lyon, but again, he's not coming off the best season. He had an 896 in 26 games, 26 starts, I should say, with Detroit, but you can at least point to the 23-24 season where he had some pretty good numbers. Anton Forsberg, I mean, it was a different regime that obviously liked him, but he had some amount of history here before they lost him on waivers. But even that, like, if you're just going to be spending for the sake of spending, like, how much better of a chance does Anton Forsberg really give you over Calvin Pickard? Like, I'm not arguing Forsberg can be a better goalie, but are you giving him $2.5 million? Like, is it that much of a difference between the two? Like, I don't know.
That much?
If Allen's getting 5 and Forsberg, Lyon, like Frank thinks Vladar could get 3. If some team's paying Vladar 3, I could see Forsberg getting 2 somewhere, 2.5. Like, I just think the market's out of whack. And I don't know, again, this is going to be unpopular, but maybe you just run it back and keep onto some assets until the deadline. Like, there are some interesting names in next year's market that you can point to and go, okay, if that team sucks, if this team sucks, maybe they start to sell someone off next year and you can make an in-season trade. But also, as I say that, I remember in-season goalie trades rarely ever work. Like, this is a really tough spot for Stan Bowman to be in.
Yeah, I'll have to see it to believe it in that high of numbers for Dan Vladar, for instance. Like, what are we doing here? No offense to Dan Vladar. What the hell has Dan Vladar done in his time in Calgary? 29. His save percentage in 4 years was 882, 898, 906, 895, and 906 was 4 years ago. The last 3 years, it's 895, 898, 882. I'm just not sure why you're gonna pay $3 million for that.
Yeah, I mean, teams love big goalies is the only kind of logic I can think with it, but I would certainly never want my team paying $3 million for Dan Vladar. But I mean, you look at the free agent class for next summer, and I'm coming at this purely at an angle of who could potentially be available in season. Like, if New Jersey's not a playoff team, Markstrom is a pending UFA. Minnie has Philip Gustafsson. They have Jesper Wallstedt waiting in the wings. Would they want to pay Gustafsson if they think Wallstedt's the future? Detroit has Cam Talbot. Don't know if I love taking a stab on 37, 38-year-old Cam Talbot at this stage of his career, but his numbers last season were actually quite respectable considering how bad that Detroit blue line is in front of him. Dries up a little bit after that. Demko, who knows what ends up going on with him. That's probably about it. Laurent Brossoit is coming off missing an entire season with injury, so I don't know if you love that option. It's such a thin market. The one that is intriguing, and I saw Rick Dollawall, and I think Dreger had it too, talking about how the Canucks might be close to an extension, or there might be a path, I should say, to an extension for Demko. If that's the case, Arthur Seelovs needs waivers next year. I mean, how would you feel about taking a stab on a younger guy? Like, I know names like UPL and Joel Hofer have been thrown out there, and they're obviously not quite as inexperienced as a guy like Seelovs would be at the NHL level, but he's put up great numbers in the minors. You bring him in and take a stab. Like, I don't know. It's just so hard to find an option that satisfies both the risk level and having the high-end goalie potential because it's just not out there.
Yeah, she loves to me. He had a good playoffs for the Abbotsford Canucks. He was 908 in the regular season, 907 the regular season before that, 909 in the regular season before that in the American League. It never really been great. He had a good 24-game playoffs. That's all he's ever really had. And in the NHL, his save percentage in 14 games is like 870. So I don't even think he's a consideration, from being bluntly honest here. I think people who are trying to pump up Shelovs are delusional because, oh, hey, the AHL was ongoing. I had nothing else to watch. Man, this kid looks great. Yeah, in the AHL. Okay. The best shooters he's facing are at best a third-line shooter in the NHL, at best.
Yeah, and I totally get what you're saying. I'm just trying to think of an option that doesn't make you totally wince when it comes to either the acquisition cost or the risk attached to it. Like, again, if Gibson's going to be heavily retained, I'd be open to that. Like, that's a guy who does have the ceiling and he's a veteran goalie. I'd pair him with Stuart Skinner and say, hey, one of these two guys should be able to take the reins next season. The reason I was maybe a little bit higher on the idea of Thatcher Demko is just because there is that super high upside and it's 1 year. Like, you don't need to bring him in and immediately extend him or anything like that. I don't even think the acquisition cost would be so high that you'd be pressured or feel pressured to do it. But if he were to come here and the health is all figured out, that's a guy with legitimate, like 2 years ago, we're talking Vezina caliber upside there for a guy like Demko at one point. So the reason I liked him is basically because I felt like the risk was maybe lower than the other ones. Like, if Gibson were to come to Edmonton and get hurt or not be up to par and not be the goalie you need, you're stuck with him for another year. Like, you're making a 2-year commitment here. So again, no perfect option is the best way I can sum up this goaltending market.
Yeah, and I'm probably in the minority here. I don't think that the Oilers have to revamp everything. I think Stuart Skinner, despite what some people think, I actually think Stuart Skinner made improvements this year in the postseason. There was no weak goals. He made one bad decision on a rebound to push it out. That's it. There was no weak goals, no mid-tier goals that went in. He needed to make a few more saves on high danger. Okay, well, guess what? Last year, he needed to make the saves on high danger, but he let in too many soft goals. To me, there was progress this year for a young goaltender who's still very young. I outlined it in my article earlier. There's like 7 guys who have played even 20 games in the NHL last year that were younger than Skinner. And the 7 had a combined 3 games of playoff experience, all from Pyotr Kochetkov. That's it. So, meanwhile, Skinner's played 50 playoff games. And it's a hard league to get into as a goalie. There's no question. Can Skinner improve? Yeah. So I still think Skinner has room to improve. I don't think Skinner's reached his ceiling whatsoever. And I think I'll say this, where the biggest change might come is you'll bring in another goalie, but I think we'll see a change. I think there's a good chance if Skinner's back that the goalie coach won't be back. I don't see they're going to run them together again. And everybody who's listened to the show for years knows I'm not a guy who's blaming the goalie coach. I've never bought into that. But you know what? Contracts are up. Times can change.
And the day that happens, I will be throwing confetti in the air, not because I have any ill will for Dustin Schwartz. I'm with you. I think it's just been so overblown what people think the goalie coach does. I will just be so happy to never have to read another comment about it, Greg's.
Yeah, that's fair. I think a lot of people would be shocked. And when we had Calvin Pickard on the show, people were like, he doesn't sound like the goalie coach does as much as I thought. I'm like, yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people, they see goalie coach, they see goalie struggle. Well, it's got to be the goalie coach, right? So is Connor Hellebuck's goalie coach great in the regular season and terrible in the playoffs? What is it?
Exactly. And I mean, listen, I get that's kind of the reactionary basis of what we do here, because there were people halfway through this season who wanted Chris Knobloch fired. And look at this, 2 years in, he went to 2 straight Stanley Cup finals. So I get that that's like an easy thing to sort of reach out and grab. But yeah, if they fire Dustin Schwartz and Stuart Skinner magically gets better next season, I think it'll be because you point to, as you said, the improvements he's made the last 18 months, and not just because he simply had someone else breaking down film for him. Like, there could be a little bit of a change there, but Stuart Skinner's not going to become a Vezina caliber goalie just because you bring in a new goalie coach.
No, not at all. But you know what? You keep if he becomes better, I'm not sold. It's all on the goalie coach. A lot of it's going to be on himself. Yeah. There's consistency. There's physical limitations, right? Kevin Woodley's outlined it. he's never going to have the Bobrovsky stance because he doesn't have the hip flexibility of Bobrovsky. He just can't. Like there's certain, it's like saying, I can't believe this center iceman doesn't skate like McDavid, right? It's how it goes. You don't say defense coaches are terrible because the third pair defenseman's not a first pair defenseman, right? There are certain limitations to a goalie, but history tells us goalies before the age of 25, barring a few exceptions, are not close. Like, do you know when Binnington became an NHL goalie after 5 years in the American League and his organization kind of was like, well, let's just throw caution to the wind here and give him a chance. They tried everybody else in the organization. He was number 5. So you never know when it's going to hit for a lot of these goalies. Thatcher Demko, another one. There's lots that just take time. Like the Fleuries and the other few young Carey Price, like those guys are unicorns to be successful goalies at 20, 21, 22.
Yeah, I mean, even look at Aiden Hill, right? Like he had to bounce around Arizona, had the season in San Jose, and then finally, not necessarily pulled off the scrap heap, but Vegas brings him in to be 3rd or 4th string that year, and then he finally finds his groove, and he's never really looked back, although Stuart Skinner, funny enough, was better than him in these last Stanley Cup playoffs. So I agree with you. Like when I see people throw out Jeremy Swayman, and I'm like, you want to attach yourself to an $8.25 million 26-year-old who's coming off a bad year, when you have a 26-year-old coming off, call it a below average bad year, whatever words you want to say, and he's $2.6 million, like what's the sense in potentially signing up if you think 26-year-old goalies can bounce back, and that's your logic for Swayman? And again, I know there are goalie experts out there who can break this down much better than I can, but just looking at the numbers on it, it's like, if you want to take a risk on a 26-year-old goalie bouncing back, take the risk on the 26-year-old who's been here for the last 3 years. Don't be going and potentially attaching yourself to an albatross contract for the next 6.
Yeah, I would agree. Tyler Yaremchuk joins us, Sports 1440. The Oilers do have 2 draft picks now in the first 4 rounds, so I guess that's progress in somewhat of a lighthearted way. But Arvidsson gets traded. I think that'll happen before the draft or during the draft on day 2, maybe by Saturday, I would think. Do you think the Oilers qualify Olivier Rodrigue?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, there might be like a little bit of a trickle down effect of like, if they bring in another goalie and their plan is to try sneak Calvin Pickard through waivers, then do you just want Pickard playing with someone like Samuel Janssen or one of the other young guys in the system? Like, is that their ultimate plan? Then maybe I could see Rodrigue not getting qualified, but I'd be intrigued at bringing him back. He obviously had a good American League season. More depth at that position is never a bad thing. I would qualify him, but again, I think that's totally dependent on what move shakes down here in the next 6 days, or I should say, if a move shakes down in the next 6 days between the pipes.
Yeah, so we shall see. It's going to be interesting. Do you think the Oilers have a surprise play here in free agency? Because when I look at the salary cap, the only way they can make a significant move is if there's somebody who has a significant salary and they know he's going to miss a significant part of next season. That's the only way they can do it.
And I mean, Hyman, I would imagine, isn't going to be out that long into next season. If he misses the beginning of the season at all, I would assume we're thinking of like a Matthias Ekholm kind of thing. And I did kind of think about that in terms of clearing up more cap space, or if you wanted a different look on your blue line. If you're confident Ekholm's back and ready to go for the start of the next season and is going to be, he's never going to be Ekholm in his prime again. I think that ship sailed, but do you think he can give you good quality minutes again and not what we saw at the end of the playoffs there? If you know Ekholm's going to be back and you have Nurse and you have Wallman on the left side, do you maybe look at moving on from a guy like Brett Kulak and $2.75 million? And do you take a stab at one of the righties that are out there, whether it's a Nick Perbix from Tampa Bay or a Henry Yokoharu? Again, if you're getting them for cheap, if there's financial gain, if you trust your pro scouts and you think one of those guys has more room to grow and can be a good young player for you or younger player for you for the next couple of years, maybe I could see a world where they try to shave some salary and move out Brett Kulak. But no, I really think I would, if I was a betting man, I would bet on the 7 D-men, counting Bouchard, who are under contract right now. I would bet on those being the 7 on the roster on opening night. I don't think we're going to see anything crazy there.
Ty, have yourself an awesome day, buddy. Enjoy it. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the rundown.
Sounds good. Thanks, Riggs.
It's Tyler Yaremchuk. Quick break. We'll return. Jason Gregor on how this just coming down. Unfortunate for the Riders that Trevor Harris has concussion concerns, has missed multiple practices for the Riders, and could be out here for a period of time. So we'll see. Quick break. We'll return. It's the Gregor Show presented by PlayAlberta.ca. We got 5 questions coming up next.
Japa Machinery Group knows that XCMG may not roll off the tongue, but Japa's team will help keep your construction jobs rolling on time and on budget with heavy equipment sales and rentals. Visit japamachinery.com to find out more.
You don't want to miss the party of the summer.
Sunday, June 29th.
Catch Edmonton's #1 party band, the Barkells, live at OTR.
Drink specials all night.
$5.25 highballs.
$5 PBR.
Oh, and we can't forget the $5 Jaeger and Jameson.
Yeah, it's going to be that kind of party.
Live, loud, and legendary.
Sunday, June 29th.
At On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave 118th.
Day or night, tasting just so right. You can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca, delivering you the news almost right away. Remember, you can order oodle noodle at oodlenoodle.ca. So stay on your couch all day and order oodlenoodle.ca. Oodle noodle.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
The Discovery Day sales event is on now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. It's your final month to lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $4,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC40 from 0.49% and save up to $2,000. Come and discover the deals now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better services. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
The dog days of summer means baseball. Every weekend, Sports 1440 carries Toronto Blue Jays ball games. Ben Shulman will have the call. Grab a cold one and tune in this weekend to Blue Jays baseball on Sports 1440.
Some jobs are easy, and some jobs are not. When the going gets tough and the job is tough, GS Construction hires good people to get the job done right. So, if you know it takes teamwork, grit, and the utmost care to work underground, you just might be who we're looking for. Right now, GS Construction is hiring experienced foremen to join our crew. Apply today at gsconstruction.ca. And remember, from the first manhole to the final tie-in, we've got your back. GS Construction. Tough jobs, good people.
Performance by Action Electrical today. Their projects team kicks things off, designing and building with unmatched skill.
Then the service team swoops in for those crucial repairs and maintenance. And don't forget the testing team, ensuring everything's safe and sound before the solar team scores with sustainable energy.
A complete team effort. Have Action Electrical bring home a win for you and your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. What's the best way to beat the tariffs? Buy Canadian. Cantork's products are not only made in Canada, but right here in Edmonton. Save money, support Canada at cantork.com.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Yes. Someone might have to watch for him. $350. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley. Busy time. I love it. Heck, we might be getting more texts in the offseason than we are in some of the playoff days. Fantastic. Text lines humming 833-401-1440, 833-401-1440. You can text in our email inbox. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Use the promo code Gregor50. You'll get a free play, whether you want it on sports, lottery, instance, you name it. They got it at PlayAlberta.ca. We're going to get to 5 questions momentarily. Hey, Gregor, what do you think about Tristan Jarry from Shane? Man, he makes a boatload of money and was in the minors last year. I would be saying no to Tristan Jarry for the Edmonton Oilers. I don't, because even if you get him at 50%, it's still going to be almost $3 million. So I don't see. I think you can get guys in the free agent market who didn't struggle that much last year and do it. Let's get to 5 questions brought to you by The Brick. We're saving you more. That's what the Brick does all the time. And stop in this weekend coming up at The Brick as they have the 4-day sale at The Brick, where you can get massive savings, of course, in every department. You want to save on kitchen appliances. You can save on mattresses starting at only $99. Queen beds at $199. But only goes until June 30th. Check it out. Starting tomorrow at The Brick.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, Jason, question number 1. After seeing the return on the Evander Kane trade, what do you think the Arvidsson trade could fetch for the Edmonton Oilers, if anything? And Cam said it, 1 trade a day. Any more trade candidates for the Oil?
Any other trade candidates? Yeah, they're going to get a draft pick for Arvidsson. I guess there's the goalie thing here, but as brought up by a few of our texters, I think it's important for people to remember. Do you know how many playoff games Thatcher Demko's played?
Not a lot.
4. Now, in those 4 games, being pretty good, but it's 4 games. Why has he only played 4 games? Well, they haven't made the playoff slots, and B, he gets hurt. So that's my concern with Demko. I like the goalie. I don't like the health.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it'll be a late pick for Arvidsson, if anything. And then I don't know. I don't know. I'm hoping Cam Tate's right. I want to see more trades, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that one. Question number 2. What do you think Evander Kane's stat line looks in Vancouver next season, assuming he plays, let's say, north of 70?
I'm going to say he scores, 22 goals, 22 assists, 44 points.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, I no doubt about the guy's a 20-plus goal scorer. Quickly, do you think the Canucks make the playoffs? And if not, is he traded at the deadline?
Well, no, that's a good question. I think the Canucks, could they make the playoffs? Yeah, I think the Canucks can be in the mix. A lot of it depends on Elias Pettersson. It's a massive wild card there, right? And really the health of Demko. So do the Canucks make the playoffs? Well, history tells us that there's always teams moving in and out. So if I look at the teams who didn't make the playoffs last year, I think the Canucks, might be one of the better ones to get back in. But I'm still going to say no. I think they'll finish 9.
All right. Question number 3. Stan Bowman and Jeff Jackson went out to Ontario to meet with Connor McDavid's representatives. This might be a good question for our next guest, but how much progress do you think could have been made and what would be discussed?
Well, it's the starting one. I don't think McDavid's in on that. It's probably just with his agent right now. McDavid wants some time. He's just going to get away. This is your agent's job. And we'll have Rich Winter joining us at 4:00 to talk about that. But, I think, it's setting up kind of a vision of where the team is. Like, I think some people have really overblown this. The Edmonton Oilers have made it to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. And guess what? They've lost in different ways. This year they lost because their top guys actually got outscored. Last year, their top guys carried them to the Cup final. This year, without McDavid and Draisaitl on the ice, the Oilers outscored teams 25-14, 5-on-5. Was even 4-4 in the Stanley Cup final. So, you know what? There's different ways to lose every year. Zachheim, an injury obviously was a factor. You can go down the list. Now, would they have beaten Florida even if Hyman's healthy? We'll never know. Would have been hard, no question. But maybe he would have buried one of their early chances. We'll never know. So I think they will look and say, hey, they're probably going to make a change in goal. I think he said that. Just sometimes different won't necessarily be better. It'll just be different. And that might be enough. So I think there'll be a change there. I think they probably wanted to see, you look, okay, they got rid of Kane because of his salary. So now they can move in stuff. Bouchard's going to get signed. Those are the things he's looking at. But like Connor McDavid sees where his team is at. And it's small little changes here. It's not like the Oilers got to go and like they dominated Dallas and Vegas. I think people forget that. Like owned them. Two really good teams. They just lost to a juggernaut Florida. But I would be willing to bet everything I have that Florida won't go into the playoffs next year and have 9 guys with 18 or more points. It's not going to happen. Like that hasn't happened since the Oilers and the Unders in the 80s. Right? It's a big outlier. And they just lost to a team that was a wagon rolling. Everybody was going. It was awesome to see. But I don't think that's the norm. I think Edmonton's really close. So they'll have some conversations, yes. But I don't think there's some like groundbreaking news here that the Oilers are going to uncover that, hey, we're going to do this. Like maybe there's small things. Or are we going to look at doing some different travel ideas? But they're all kind of up to date on the sleeping stuff. Like, hey, we're going to look at different ways to improve our team and probably have conversations like, who's going to be moved. But as I outlined, let's say Connor McDavid signs for $16 million, Connor. And so when his $16 million kick in, the Oilers' top 6 players will make up 57% of the salary cap. Florida's top 6 players this year made 59% of the cap.
It's a good number. I have to remember that. Question number 4 for you. With the NBA draft coming up in just over 2 hours, outside of Cooper Flagg, which prospect intrigues you the most?
Go ahead.
It's funny. He's on TV right now. Jeremiah Fears, 18 years old. He won't be 19 till mid-February. Point guard.
Big dude.
Yeah, man. He's the one for me because I think there is some risk. Maybe you want a guy who's a little bit more experienced at that position. But his 1 year at Oklahoma, he was pretty good. So to me, kind of boom bust prospect, depending on maybe where he goes and how he is developed. But I'll go Jeremiah Fears, and I like that he wears number 0. Fears nothing.
You like that he wears number 0? You know what he should fear right now? Is a torn Achilles. Everybody wearing a 0 in NBA this year. God, that was brutal stretch. And Tatum out. Halliburton out. Damian Lillard out. All wearing 0. Like, that's crazy to think that 3 guys with the same number all in the playoffs go out with Achilles injuries. But I guess to me, I'm going to go with Malak, the center out of Duke. Like, I still think it's rare that you have, like a true center in today's game. That's really, I would take one. I'm not taking him as a top 10 pick. So I still like, unless you're a big man who can shoot, there's no reason to take you in the top 10 anymore. There's just no reason for it.
Start practicing beyond the arc. Final question for you. Today on this day, in 1982, Ridley Scott's Blade Runner was released. So when you think of Ridley Scott, he's got a pretty good history of movies that he's been involved with. What would be your favorite?
Oh God, he has a lot of flicks. My favorite. That's a really good. Honestly, like I'm torn because there's 3 I really like, but I only got to pick one. So,
and it doesn't have to be director. Like you could also look producers as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go with like some of the feature films that he was in. I'm going to go with American Gangster.
Great movie. On TV so much. I always watch it.
But you pick yours, and I'm going to tell you there were some I was really torn by.
Well, for me, it has to be Gladiator. Russell Crowe. I think that was I haven't seen the second one yet. I'm a little trepidation because I've heard it's not quite as good, and I don't want it to ruin the legacy. But Gladiator, the original, absolutely love that.
No, there's no way Gladiator 2 is going to be as good as Gladiator.
No, it's impossible.
No, it's not going to be as good. There's no way.
But I've heard it's bad, which is what is disappointing.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. The other one though was Alien.
Oh, class!
Like I liked Alien a lot, and obviously I really liked Gladiator. Black Hawk Down was pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Yeah. I didn't mind the Russell Crowe Robin Hood, but I just don't find it wasn't as good as the Kevin Costner Robin Hood. I found that one was better. So, but Blade Runner is a good movie. Like I like it a lot. So he's had White Squall actually. Cons was all right. What about G.I. Jane? Did you like G.I. Jane?
Not going to surprise you. Didn't see it. Demi Moore. I was 10 when it came out, so like I don't know. It just didn't appeal to me. Maybe was it good?
It was okay. Yeah, like it was different because that was at the time when Demi Moore, like she comes in and she got the shaved head, and like Demi Moore had been kind of like a sex symbol, like super attractive and everything. And then she's in there and she, like, she's really physical and stuff. And it was good, but there was just too many scenes that were unbelievable to me. That's all. And when I say, there's like some plays that Connor McDavid makes that are unbelievable. You're like, wow, that's great. But then there's scenes in movies that are unbelievable, but they're not good unbelievable. They're like, this just isn't possible. Like, it's not going to happen. So
unrealistic.
Yes. Yeah.
Jumping the shark.
Yeah, they're not believable. So didn't like it. So, hey guys, Gladiator 2 was okay. Then Rob says, not good. So there you go. Hey guys, how come nobody injured Achilles like this in the 90s? What are they making these things out these days? Oh no, guys hurt their Achilles in the 90s. The problem, like the difference was injuries in the 80s and the 90s a lot of times could be career ending. Well, you go even back, like look at Bobby Orr. If Bobby Orr got hurt today, he would be out a year and a bit, and then he'd be back. Maybe not even a full year. Right? It's just and that's where, like, when we talk about a lot of times about the athletes today are privy to better medicine, better treatment, better education, better everything, better facilities to train into rehab and everything. And yeah, you know what? So we can maximize what the human body's capable of for sure through science and reading, but it also allows players to get back. There used to be some injuries that you could never come back from the same. Ever. Like you might come back and play, but you were a shadow of what you were. Right? Like ACL used to be almost like, well, that's career over. Right? You used to have Tommy John surgery in baseball and you were done. Nowadays, it's like, well, you're 16, 17, you can have Tommy John surgery and come back. It's wild how it's changed. It's absolutely wild. Quick break. We'll return. Rich Winter will join us for a special edition of the Business of Sport here on Sports 1440. Let's get to the comment. Sports 1440 update brought to you by your Alberta GMC dealers. Employee pricing is on now. You can get up to $12,000 off on a 2025 Sierra 1500 Crew Cab Denali Ultimate. Only at gmccanada.ca.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Okay, so you missed it. Evander Kane has been traded to the Vancouver Canucks for a 4th-round draft pick this year. No salary retained. Kane missed the entire regular season while recovering from multiple surgeries in the playoffs. 6 goals, 12 points in 21 games. Round 1 of the NBA draft goes tonight from Broken with the Mavs on the clock. That's starting in just over 2 hours. Out in Victoria, the Riverhawks taking on the Harbor Cats, looking to make it 2 straight on the island. First pitch, 7:35 in the majors. Jays in action in about 40 minutes in Cleveland. Right now, you've got the Angels leading the Red Sox 4-2, and the Nationals trail the Padres 1-0 in the top of the 8th. Montreal captain Marie-Philippe Poulin has won the PWHL's Billie Jean King MVP award for this past season, finishing with 19 goals, leading the way, and finishing 4th in points with 26 in 30 games. And in the WNBA tonight, you got 2 games. The Liberty in San Fran taking on the Valkyries. Also, Aces and Sun. Both games get going at 8. Coming up in hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show, it's another edition of the Business of Sport with longtime NHL player agent Rich Winter. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Oodle Noodle Origins. In 1864, Francis Oodle took over his dying father's business as a leatherman. He was quite proficient, but his heart was never truly.
308, welcome back.
Jason
Gregor.
Oodle met a cocksure young man named Vladimir Nudell.
Nation,
he was a trailblazer in the popular new art of food boxes. They formed a partnership and aimed to ply their trade in the new world. At Ellis Island, Nudell was renamed David Noodle, and henceforth, the franchise has been known as
Sports 14
Noodle.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide
Jason
customers
Gregor,
with
Connor
quality
Halley.
glass for any job, from home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs. We're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com. Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk. The sun is shining, the weather's warm, and some of Edmonton's favorite sports are back in season. If you're looking for the cherry on top of a perfect summer day, check out Play Alberta to experience casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Download the Play Alberta app today and deposit $20 or more with promo code OIL to claim a $100 casino bonus. That's promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus on us. Gameable once per Play Alberta account. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
The Summer Drive event is on now at Buick. Right now, get 0% financing for up to 60 months on the 2025 Buick Envision. Make your presence known with available 20-inch alloy wheels with pearl nickel finish. Showcase your style with available quilted perforated front leather-appointed seats. And radiate confidence on any drive with Buick's suite of standard safety features. Get behind the wheel of your Buick Envision today. Ask your Buick dealer for details.
Hey everybody, it's Gene Principe. How would you like to join me and others? It's the Edmonton Hockey Legends Cruise, and it's the summer of 2026. It begins July 17th, 7 nights on the Mexican Riviera. We go to Cabo, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, and visit cast.tours/Edmonton. Number to call is 1-833-347-7678.
Save $200 when you mention promo code Stingray Radio. That's cast.tours or call 1-833-347-7678.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Leading Edge Physio. The team in Ulster, Strathcona have special training dedicated to reducing the impact of cancer care before, during, and after your diagnosis. From lymphedema to the management of fatigue and side effects of chemotherapy and radiation, they can help. Learn more at leadingedgephysio.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Oh, hair and makeup. It's not here. Up there in the rain. Kane. That hurts him too, doesn't it? Zach's wrist is a mess. Holy smokes. I went to the answer.
$14.40 Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you're having a lovely day. Jason Gregor, Connor Halley. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca is always presented by PlayAlberta.ca, your one-stop shop where you can get in on casinos, live dealer, lottery, instance, and more at PlayAlberta.ca. Remember to use your game sense, gamesense.ab.ca. There's limitations. You can put daily limits and everything, so you keep yourself in check at PlayAlberta.ca. We welcome in. We're going to do another special edition of the Business of Sports with longtime NHL player agent Rich Winter joining us in studio again. Rich, how you doing?
Well, I wish I would have had my boogie board on the way to the studio today. Holy smokes, pretty interesting rainstorm.
Well, it was like a deluge, man.
Boy,
I looked outside and it was just pouring, and I was just like, oh, Richie's coming in here a little wet.
Yeah, it worked out. I got in underneath and then I walked. It wasn't too bad, but wow, it was, it's one of those big time Calgary storms that we got. So
it just came down super fast. So if you're out there, hopefully your windshield wipers are
so
good.
Should we go right to the Connor signed for 5 years sort of story?
Yeah.
Connor Halley.
Connor Halley.
Yeah, he signed here with 4 Sports.
Yeah.
That's not the Connor people were.
No, well, you know what, that is a big signing for Connor Halley, but and I'm not sure it's the one that Oilers fans were looking. But I do want today in the Business of Sports, of course, here we are. We're 5 days away from free agency, and for the first time in many years, Rich, from an agent's perspective, you're probably just you're like licking your chops because here's the truth. There hasn't been much money available in free agency for the last 5 years.
And no players.
Yeah, there's not many players. There's lots of money. And guess what? We've spoke to GMs on this show who admitted the most bad decisions are made on July 1st. Yeah. That's just the numbers don't lie. So as an agent who's been there before, you signed Breeze Galoff, got him a lot of money, great, other guys like that. Yeah. So when you approach this knowing and your player's like, well, you know what, I want to sign. There is that, well, is this the year even more? Like, we're 5 days away from free agency. Yeah. Is this the time where you say to your guy, you probably owe it to yourself to at least dip your toe in and see what the offers are? You could still sign with the team you want. You'll have to make a quick decision, but you might be surprised by what's out there. Or do you, because you've always said, don't chase the money. So how do you balance it?
Well, no, we're like, with our players, we're working through the opportunity now more than anything, but then you get to the money pretty quickly. And, most players will set these, I want to be at a minimum of. And like I was talking to one team today about one of our clients, and they're like, what do you think the number is? And I said, well, I don't know. 3.5, 5.5. Like, we don't know, because if you look at the way the market is, lots more money than we've had available for a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of the most talented players in the league, a lot of them signed long-term deals. Their agents should all get fired, but that we can deal with later. But ultimately, there's only people in the middle. Now there's a Mitch Marner, but it's all revolving now around the Florida problem. Florida now has the best team in the league. It's not really that close. Yeah, they didn't play that well against the Leafs, so they lost 3 games in a series that they shouldn't have lost. They lose in those in January, nobody notices, but it happens in a series too. They've got the best goaltender. They've got among the best defense. They've got the best forward core as a group. And they're getting all those guys to sign for less money than anywhere else. So they're going to continue to
have they, though?
Yeah, they've done
and everybody says it, but no one's really done it. When Barkov signed, it wasn't cheap. But Bobrovsky wasn't cheap. Matthew Tkachuk wasn't cheap.
No, but they ended up packaging. It's the last 2 or 3 years, they're starting to get more and more and more. So here's the problem. But no one, like, you got a group of teams that think they're close. Toronto thought they were close. I don't think they're close after Marner's gone. But there's teams that think they're close. I'm sure Vegas thinks they're close and Edmonton thinks they're close. But there's not much to add. If you're close, you want a big ad, but there's no big ads, playoff friendly big ads that you can afford. So teams seem to be really stuck. There's not a lot of action seem to be going on because they're trying to figure out, I guess I got to build my middle six at forward. Maybe I got to, everybody's looking for a right shot D. Top.
Not many. Yeah.
There's none. I mean, I guess, is Ekblad right or left? I don't know.
Ekblad's a left.
Yeah, so there's just nothing available. So it's just kind of like you went to Walmart after COVID.
Yeah.
In Slovakia or Russia. Like, it's just, there's not much there. So what happens to the prices, right? Like, so the argument I'll make on a couple of our more defensive-oriented players, and it's the argument we made with Yakov Trenin last year. So Yak got, with his 8 goals, got $3.5 million because some teams are looking at it going, okay, I could buy a 25-goal scorer, $6-7 million maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to go minus 20 because he has no attention to defense.
Yeah,
and he
wants it right. He just want to.
Okay, so he and they won't help us in the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. So, or I can go get a good, solid defensive player like a Mason Appleton who's going to get me 10, 12, 15 maybe. But he might be key part of a shutout line that will stop another 10 or 12 or 15. So what's more important? Goal scored, goal prevented. And I think a lot of teams are starting to think, if I can really shore up that middle six, get myself a solid shutdown line, that's maybe where I'm shopping, right? There's no goalies available. It's going to be fascinating. I honestly can't tell you. Like, so many times I've been in negotiations where I got offered more than I ever thought I would. You like to hear from them, but right now, I don't think they know what the number is.
Yeah.
No. Right? So, and then you see Riley Smith signs for $2 million just about an hour ago. For a 1-year deal. Now he's an older player, but you look at players like, say, Mason Appleton's one of our clients. You look at his comparables, Greenway, $4 million. Various others that, sounds like Trent, Frederick's going to sign for close to $4 million. He's another comparable. So is Mason at 4? Well, we don't know. If he waits till July 1st, he might be at 4.5. He might be at 5. It's not going to go to 6 or 7, but, teams go like, look at Mason Appleton. How many right shot solid defensive players are there out there with speed and size?
Yeah, not a lot.
No, there's actually none.
Yeah. When you look at Appleton, though, his fit, because his fit on that line is a great fit, right?
No,
And
it's not.
you don't think so?
No, it's a great fit for the line. It's a bad fit for him because you study his game. He distributes the puck really quickly. He distributes it to defensive players who aren't converting. So his production is much lower than it would be in a place like Boston if he was playing with Zacha, right? Or if he was with the Rangers playing when Zibanejad's on the third line, great. So, which they do quite a bit when they move them around. So at the end of the day, Mason creates a lot of offense that doesn't get converted, which is normal when you're on a shutdown line. So does he do what Geekie did? Does he go to, is Geekie a 30-goal scorer? I don't think so.
No.
But he got 30 goals last year. So does Mason get into a position? He activates the defense very well. So if you're looking at it, and if you're in New Jersey and he says, geez, he really activates, he gets rid of the puck quickly, activates the defense. We'd like Luke Hughes and not our left wing or right wing forward to have the puck. That helpful to us? Is that going to generate more offense? So he is a very good fit in Winnipeg for their shutdown line, but he might be also a very good fit in a slightly different role on another team where he might be more valuable. And that's probably where, when you look at a player like him, that's probably where the valuation will be very different. You know, like you talk to some teams, they think he could play up in the top two lines, maybe be more productive. They're going to pay X. The team that sees him in that third line shutdown role playing 14 minutes, they're going to see him at a little bit less.
Now, I want to ask you your approach, Rich. Here we are. The salary cap has been flat for many years.
Yeah.
And for the first time that I can ever remember in the NHL, you know what the salary cap will be for the next 3 years. That's never happened before.
Right.
You know it's going to be 95, then it's going to be 104, and then it's going to be 112. Like, that's never happened in the history of the NHL. So for an agent, when you look at that, are you leaning to sure, like, even if you have Mitch Marner as a client, are you looking to say we should probably go in 4 years now because the cap might be 118 mil again, very quickly?
I think there's a number of things you do. You sit down with your client, you say, okay, so what money does your financial planner say you need to be set for life? So that becomes part of the discussion, because let's say it's 3 years, the player's going to get a $4 million deal. If 2 of those years is, the way he's saving, the way he's spending is going to put him in a really good position for the rest of his life. Now, with knowing that, now you look at, geez, do we need to go beyond 2? Because if we go beyond 2, we might be cutting this thing, maybe cutting his knees off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, you go back and look at all those long-term contracts. Not a lot of that growth is going to be eaten by, Cale Makar's coming up, but there's a whole bunch of other guys that are tied in long-term. Barkov and many of them. Bennett's going to be tied in. So that money's not going to be chasing the studs. So I would say shorter is better, but you have this balance where a guy goes, you know what, I'm having a child. We're thinking of having another one. Kind of like to settle in. I really like that city. So it may be more of a lifestyle issue than anything else. But yeah. But on the other hand, you see what happens with those long-term deals. They front end load them and give it all to you in signing bonus. And now you're sitting there thinking, geez, I got that 5 years at 6 and they're giving me $12 million up front. Like there's some elements of this that's kind of hard, and every personality is different, right? Like when I did Bridges' deal, Bridges said, get me the money. I don't care that Philly's a goalie graveyard. It's the only place we can go. They're throwing all kinds of money at it. I just want the money. And he made $40 million after being bought out, playing for 2 years. He got what he wanted. Now other players are like, more, I'm like, can I fish there? I mean, I remember talking to Tyler Bertuzzi, and one of the things that frustrated him more than anything in this last year in Detroit was the weather was warm enough he couldn't go ice fishing much during the year. He loves ice fishing, loves hunting. So there's just different factors, and some guys are prepared to weigh that pretty heavily. Oh, not the dressing room, not that big a deal, but the fishing might be important.
Well, every player is different, right? Some guys like training facilities. I talk to a lot of players like, you know what? Nice weather's nice, but when you're on the road half the time, it's not as great. Right now, if you live there year round.
Except if you're married.
Yeah, in some
it's
places.
Very important for the wife.
Well, it depends for some, right? Like Ekholm's wife loves the out. She loves winter.
Right. She's
so
Swedish.
Right. Yeah. Got to depend on who it is. Right. Like Canadian. The truth of the matter is in Edmonton, when it's cold, it's only really cold for like 3 weeks a year. That's just a fact. And I've lived here my whole life. Right.
But people, the problem is you got some guy who played for Tampa.
Yeah.
He went on a long swing through LA, up through Seattle. And his last game was at Edmonton, and he didn't bring much of a jacket because when he left, looked like it was, like 20 degrees Fahrenheit when he left. Now it was like minus 30. And he just, sometimes they have those recollections. So it's tough. Sometimes teams arrive in Edmonton when it is minus 40 and they don't forget that.
Yeah, no, that's
it's
true.
a challenge. It's a challenge.
Right.
It can be overcome, and they've overcome it. I mean,
if I'm the Edmonton owners, when I do my pitch, I'm like, here's the last 5 years. Here's the average weather. No, seriously.
That's important.
I would go through it. I'm like, get my meteorologist. We have all the numbers. This is how cold it was for this many days of the year. Fact. So guess what? If your wife's from here, make sure that you book your trip on holidays that she goes home in January, because that's when it's cold.
Yeah.
February, not really. And you could outline it. Show them, here's the average for 5 years. And I would play the averages.
Well, that's part of what they got to be thinking. But it's teams, whether we like it or not, people do tend to like nice weather. It's not as important to the players, you're right, because it could be on the road in New York. But they also like the low taxes. They all like, and every team, whether they like it or not, has to act like every other business. It doesn't matter if you're in the computer business, you're in the logistics business. There's companies with head offices in Florida, and there's companies with head offices in Minnesota. They have the same problem. You better have a really good answer. We've had a good one in Edmonton for the last few years. Come and play with Leon and Connor. That's a
well, it's a massive one, right?
A big one.
You're especially on a short-term deal for some guy who's like, you know what, I'm 29, I'm 30. I go there for 1 or 2 years, right? And it's not just that you get to play with Connor and Leon. It's you get the chance because there's nobody locked in. Like other than Zach Hyman on the first line right wing, the second line right winger isn't locked in. The second line left winger isn't locked in, and the first line left winger isn't locked in.
Well, that's important, but it's also important. The other things people don't think here, most general managers throughout the league have TSN on the screen in their dressing room, in their offices, right?
Yeah.
You're playing in Canada. Everything you do doesn't just get noticed on TSN; it gets noticed around the league. So there's a lot more profile. If you're obviously you're playing with Draisaitl and McDavid, but there's a lot more profile to what you do here versus say Columbus, even Florida, like all those places. So depending on where you are, there's a strategic move to be made. Yeah, I'm playing with Draisaitl and McDavid. I'm going to get 30 goals, and almost every general manager in the league is going to see every single highlight goal I scored.
Yeah,
so that's not irrelevant. I mean, and that's what happens sometimes. It's really players. I don't know if agents. I like to think we're all fairly smart. You forget. Like I'll sit with a kid at the draft, and he's going like, "I know I'm going in the second round. Boston told me for sure. They're taking me. They love me, man." Let's get picks in the second. Then we get in the third, and it's coming up. Well, what happens is they don't understand, and they're complaining that I can't believe that guy got drafted ahead of me. Well, he doesn't understand. The GM came to 2 games that year in Barrie, Ontario, and that kid happened to just be unbelievable. And the GM can't erase that from his mind. And he picks the kid probably against the wishes of some of his scouts who saw him in another 15 games. Some of that stuff happens. And so you want to position yourself, whether it's on the TV in the general manager's office in Anaheim, you want to make sure that if you think you're going to perform in magnificently in a place like Edmonton, think about how that's going to be broadcast throughout the league. How is that going to be seen? Who's going to see it? It's not irrelevant.
100%. There's lots of factors
to
look at. Jason Gregor, Rich Winter, with us here in the Business of Sport. We'll come back. We're going to talk about the kind of get your view as an agent with now Bowman and them going down to meet with Judd Mulder, the agent for Connor McDavid, and the things that the Oilers should be presenting. We'll find out next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
You don't want to miss the party of the summer at On the Rocks.
Sunday, June 29th.
Catch Edmonton's #1 party band, the Barkels, live at OTR. Live at OTR.
Drink specials all night.
$5.25 highballs.
$5 PBR.
Oh, and we can't forget the $5 Jaeger and Jameson.
Yeah, it's going to be that kind of party.
Live, loud, and legendary.
Sunday, June 29th.
At On the Rocks.
Jasper Ave 118th.
The Discovery Day sales event is on now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. It's your final month to lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $4,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC40 from 0.49% and save up to $2,000. Come and discover the deals now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better services. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
McDonald's summer drink days are back, which means it's officially summer. Enjoy your refreshing small Coca-Cola or small iced coffee for just $1 all summer. Woo! Summer's booming with summer drink days. Excludes flavored iced coffee at participating McDonald's in Canada. Taxes extra. Prices exclude delivery.
Experience Edmonton Stingers Pro Basketball. Celebrate Canada Day with a game on Tuesday, July 1st at 4 p.m. It's the most affordable, family-friendly, fun sports experience in the city. Tickets start at just $20. thestingers.ca.
You don't have to wait. Boxing Day is back at the Brick. For 4 days, shop incredible deals, like mattresses starting at just $99. Save big on genuine leather sofas and sectionals. Queen beds start at only $199. And save the tax when you buy 2 or more major kitchen appliances. Plus, get free local delivery on outdoor furniture purchases of $499 or more. Some exclusions apply. See you in store for details. Boxing Day starts Friday at the Brick, saving you more.
The sun is shining, the weather's warm, and some of Edmonton's favorite sports are back in season. If you're looking for the cherry on top of a perfect summer day, check out Play Alberta to experience casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Download the Play Alberta app today and deposit $20 or more with promo code OIL to claim a $100 casino bonus. That's promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus on us. Gameable once per Play Alberta account. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Did you wake up this morning and think, I want to be a used RV salesman? If you're like most people, the answer is no. But if you want to sell your quality used RV yourself, then a used RV salesman is what you are.
Welcome to your new job.
That's right, Bob. Put it up on all the best websites. Wait for the phone to ring and be ready day or night, weekday or weekend. Drive out to the storage lot for every random tire kicker who calls and hope that what you have is exactly what they want.
There's an easier way to do this, Rick.
That's right, Bob. You could bring it to No Bull RV. We love selling used RVs, and the customers are already here. Commercials like this, bring them in by the hundreds. All you need to do is cash the check when it leaves our lot. Used RV salesman is not what you wanted to be when you woke up this morning. And if it was, well, I think you better come out here and apply for a job.
And that's No Bull. NoBullRV.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by On the Rocks. Jump on OTR's party shuttle buses to Elks games, Riverhawks games, and concerts at Commonwealth. To see all upcoming events, visit ontherocks.yeg.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.428, Jason Gregor, Rich Winter, a special edition of the Business of Sports with you today. Of course, we're talking all things free agency leading up to NHL free agency on Tuesday. Of course, there's the NHL draft going on in between then. There's qualifying offers to be made, decisions on will you file for arbitration or not. There's lots of things that go into it. I do want to talk, Rich, just kind of because it ties into Edmonton. Of course, Oilers fans are, some of them are refreshing their phone every day. Is McDavid signing? Is McDavid signing? It's not going to happen anytime soon. But, there's a report that Bowman and Jeff Jackson went out to meet with his agent. Now, in today's world, I'm like, I guess you can meet face-to-face and some love it more. But, you're leading up to the draft. I'm like, why would you go all the way out there? Why wouldn't you just have a Zoom call? But regardless, what if you're his agent, like what would you be looking to hear in a meeting like that for somebody who's been in your organization for 10 years? You're not pitching a newcomer who doesn't know your organization. Yeah. You're pitching someone who's in your organization.
I don't know what they're talking about, but keep in mind, Jeff lives for the most part in Toronto. So, there's two in one place and Stan flying in. But unless they've been doing a pile of research in sports science and artificial intelligence and all kinds of future-facing things, and they have a package to show Connor how they have a strategy to reduce injuries, play higher levels, do stick calibration, draft better, trade better, get better returns. Like if they don't have some strategic, transformative presentation that suggests to Connor, we're going to be okay in the next couple of years, and we think by year 3 we're going to kill it for these reasons, what's the point of meeting?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, I mean, I don't understand what they're talking about. Since the Stanley Cup final, we just wanted to kind of update you what's going on. We've had a couple of good amateur scouting meetings, really good couple of dinners with the boys. Like, well, what could they have? What could they be? Unless they've done a lot of work that we don't know about it, that would have Connor's agent excited to get back to Connor and tell him what's coming. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
They figure out a way to increase the cap by 4 times. Oh, that'd be a good meeting. How'd you do that? Just for us. We got a little deal with Gary on the side. I don't know. And that would be, I don't know what they could be talking about. I know what I would be talking about and how I would have been preparing for this for 2 years to make sure I had a really good case to present to him. I don't know what they're presenting.
No, but I'm not saying what they're presenting, but if you're an agent, what would you be looking for?
I want my client satisfied. Tell me how we win. I looks for me from the distance as all of my client. If my client's Connor McDavid, he wants to win. It's the same argument or the same discussion I had with Marian Hossa when we first started. He said, I want to win, but I want to contribute. So we had that intermediate step where we got him to Detroit because he never played on a championship team. He wanted to learn that. Now he wants to win. We did the analytics that, we can't pick a Stanley Cup winner with him.
No, well, that's what I was going to say. Like Edmonton's, people act like Edmonton isn't good. They've been in the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row, and they lost actually in different fashion. The first year, McDavid and the top guys carried him, and the bottom guys kind of got crushed.
Bottom guys
this last year, the bottom guys were excellent.
Well, there's reason for optimism because of some of those bottom guys. Like who the heck was put goals in last year? Like we did this time last year in our mind, played really, really well. And some of those guys in the bottom 6 played really, really well. Some guys, they're sort of depth defensemen like Stetcher had some really good moments. Like there's lots to like here, but I'm not sure they're the Florida Panthers, especially if they resign all of those guys, but they're good. And so, but how do we win? Like Connor's just going to want to win. Like you can see it on his face. I don't know Connor at all. Met him briefly once and he just looks like man, like how disappointed was he when it became inevitable that they weren't winning? He wants to do that. And I think that, but again, see the other side of the equation is like, and I had this conversation in our office the other day. Okay. So Connor wants out, let's assume, because he wants to win. So the next decision you have to look at, well, where would he go to win?
Well, that's my point. Everyone's, like I know there's the delusional people in Toronto. I'm like, why the hell would he go there?
Oh,
like honestly, what do they have to offer that's any remotely close?
Nothing.
There's no Leon. The other thing is, at the end of the day,
no Leon.
There's no Leon anywhere other than Edmonton. There's McKinnon in Colorado, and that's it, right? There's McKinnon in Colorado.
Well, that was the team we came up with as a group that said, okay, that's the one team where you would say, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because McKinnon and Makar, right? Like you'd have the 3 M's, McKinnon, McDavid, and Makar, right? That's the one where you could look at and
that's
say,
an endorsement deal waiting to happen, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now it's like the old movie. I remember when they got Sakic signed. This is like, we're going to get McDavid signed because we're going to get him this huge deal with 3M.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Because he's the last M. He's the piece.
Yeah.
He's the glue. He's the tape that's it's all there. It's Colorado. He's never coming back.
Yeah. And the funny thing is people are like, yeah, but there's 30 million, there's $40 million with 3 players here. I'm like, yeah, he went to Colorado. It would be 3 guys at 45 mil. Because by the time Makar's contract's up, he's getting 15 mil at least. Right? He's making 9 now.
Unless he takes a discount, but I doubt it.
But when we hear discounts, like how many big guys are taking I always like people still repeat that Florida's players took discounts. I'm like, name one. Look at the time they signed. They were all top 5 players at their position.
I would say I think there's been a couple, but it's
but no, not Tkachuk. Look at Tkachuk signing. He signed for the exact same amount of money now Tkachuk makes more money personally because he's in a no-state tax, 13%. But the Panthers didn't get him at a lower rate than Johnny Gaudreau.
Well, no, but you have to understand too, though, but you're not comparing it to what he got. You're comparing to what he could have got on the open market. And a lot of those guys took a lot less than they would have got somewhere else. Not a lot less, but
not Bob. Bob got more at 10 mil. No one had ever done it, right?
No.
I don't think Barkov.
No, stop. 20 years ago, Dominik Hasek was making 11.
Okay, but
20 years ago.
In today's era, he wasn't going to get more. Right.
I still actually marvel at that.
Yeah.
Dom made 20 million,
No
11
salary
million,
cap.
20. But that was like, it's hard to believe really when you think about it.
I trust me. I've done all that. People love repeating stuff with no truth to it. They just repeat it.
Well, but here's the problem. This is the same problem. The reverse of the problem we hear on sports radio all the time. Well, they should get a guy like Bobrovsky. Okay, that's great. I was at Walmart. I asked every single teller. They don't have any Bobrovskys. They're not available. There's none on. You're not getting him. So it's easy to make this. They should trade for this guy. But the other side, now McDavid wants to win. Let's presume it's the thing he's most passionate about. Okay, not Edmonton. Where? That's the issue. Now you could, because there's some place you can see, gee, if he fits in there, they're a slam dunk to do it. Well, but they don't have a cap room. And in order to make the cap room, they got to get rid of the other two guys. Now they're not a slam dunk. So it's not as easy. And his wife is entrenched here. She's got businesses here. I have no idea what they're thinking. So we probably have the advantage. Again, I have no idea what they're talking about. It seems to me, but they may have something. I know Stan for a long time, and Stan's a smart guy. I don't know Jeff Jackson very well. He's probably a very smart guy. They've got something to meet with him about.
Yeah. Like it's open talks. And I'll just say this. I will be floored if Connor McDavid doesn't sign an extension. I don't think it'll be an 8-year extension, though. No, I will say that.
I would, and it wouldn't be surprised in my mind if it was a 1 or 2. Wouldn't surprise me. A lot of stuff changes the game in a year or 2.
You think it'd be that short?
I don't know. I said it wouldn't surprise me. Could be 4. Could be 8. We all surprised. Maybe just goes, they sit down. I don't know. Him and his wife, think about it. They've lived most of their adult life here.
Mm-hmm.
Their friends are here. I was out with two of my clients over the last couple of days at a little coffee shop in the area where the players live. And it's like they're walking in, they're getting hugs, and then one of the players runs into a girl whose boys play with his boys, and they're talking, and this is their home, and it's been their home for, Connor's 28 now?
Mm-hmm.
So it's been his home for the last 10 years, his entire adult life. There's some value in that.
Well,
they've made some connections. They've made some connections to this community on a business level, on a personal level. Maybe that's going to attract him. Maybe Stan and Jeff have very little to say, but the decision's been made already because there's a bunch of things that they love here that we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Well, there's the one thing I think, like people, she has a bar. Honestly, I think the bar is like secondary. She has her interior design company that she has had and grown for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And when she's here, she's not Connor McDavid's wife.
No, she's built her own identity.
And you've talked about this with players. Having in any relationship, when both people have their own identity, and especially when one of them in a relationship is a really big figure, if you can still stand on your own, there's incredible value and health in that. I'm not saying it's the only reason you say.
On the other hand, take the Gretzky model. I'm not sure they would go to LA. I don't know if that's a spot, but maybe there's.
Well, she was an actor though. She had different.
But I'm saying she's an interior designer. Maybe she wants to be. There's lots of interesting works there. We don't know, but I would say
you could move her business somewhere else.
There's lots of. It looks like there's a lot to attach them to our community. And I know, my partner Steve Kotlowitz, who worked with us for 15 years, at the time he moved here, he was the CEO of the second largest talent agency in the world. We went to law school, so we knew each other, and he wanted his family to grow up in a less, a calmer, more peaceful community than he thought his kids were going to be exposed to in LA. He moved here and loved it. Steve's a foodie, man. The restaurants he would take me to LA on the dime of his talent agency were unbelievable. And he came here and said he's got a lot of good restaurants. I said, of course we do, Steve, because we can go to a hockey game or go out for dinner. That's like we do in January. So you get kind of in a cocoon, and think of, these players, they don't live in the world. They live in a little cocoon.
Yes.
There's that coffee shop in Garneau, right? They go there, most of them. Many of them have a little bit of lunch there, and then they go to the rink and they do their thing there, and they have their friends. I don't know. Sometimes it's a bubble. It's not the old COVID bubble, but it's a bubble that they're very comfortable in.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Connor's got 4 or 5 really incredible friends, him and Lauren here, that we don't know about. That may be more important than anything else.
No, yeah. There's so many factors, and the truth is, you want to go somewhere where you think you can win. Well, clearly the Oilers can win. They're very close. It's hard to win, right?
Yeah.
If Zach Hyman's healthy and if Ekholm doesn't get hurt, I know these are ifs, but you look and say to yourself, geez, what if our guys were healthy?
Well, and
maybe that makes a
look,
difference.
They got far enough that if either one
2
of
years in a row.
Yeah, if either one of the goalies had off the charts game and Bob had a bad game, those guys wouldn't have got hurt. Yeah, there's some argument. I think it's a big loss to lose Kane. That's a pretty big piece of the playoff puzzle. But at the end of the day, they'll have to replace him too. But there's lots of reasons to be optimistic. But I do think, that's tough to get past. That Florida team's pretty good, and that's going to be tough to get past her. But look, if they get in the finals every year and lose to Florida, okay,
and here's
that's
the
not
thing
so bad.
I'll say this about Florida. They're not repeating what they did in the playoffs, Rich. They did something we haven't seen since the Oilers and the Islanders. To have that many guys have 18, 19 points, it's almost unheard of. And it's great for them, and they deserved it and they earned it. But I would bet my money it's very hard to repeat.
It's hard to repeat it, but they have a very unique culture there. I've never seen a culture like that in our business among those players.
In what sense? In
the sense of their commitment to each other, their heart and soul, the way they play for each other. We talked about it in our love episode. Remember, it is clear that group of people. And I think we have that here in Edmonton. I think it's why the two teams were in the finals, because if you looked at the two teams before those two series before the finals, you saw this Edmonton team, which was, their third line was crashing and banging and, and I said to Bill Scott one day, I says, Bill, who's in those uniforms, man? There's not the same guys that were here in the regular season, but they just look like they were they passionately pursuing with a high degree of energy because of their love and affection for Connor and they wanted him to win? Was it just they wanted to win? I don't know what it was, but you saw the same thing in the Florida series, right? Against Carolina. Now, Carolina and Dallas were nice, pretty teams, and they were skating, and it was.
But it wasn't close.
It wasn't even close because it was the passion. And I think the thing is, and that's what might keep Connor here, right? That's what's Marchand and them. It's maybe it's less the beach and the sun that we point out, and it may just be the love and commitment and affection and the dynamics in that room. You saw those guys party. Those guys are having a lot of fun together. And there's something to be said for that, right? We don't have that in our lives for the most part. We don't work in an environment where you compete every day and you win. I mean, I remember talking to a friend of mine, Andy Hill, who played with Coach Wooden and for teams. And during COVID, it was just really interesting for him to make this argument or just have this discussion with me. He said, now he's Jewish. He grew up in Beverly Hills. And he and his wife spent a lot of time during COVID with a limited number of couples because they're older, right? Mm-hmm. And then he realized at one point, his closest friends were Black kids from the other side of the tracks. And he never thought of them as Black. He thought of them as the people he'd grown to love and sweat with and work through and win. And you see these guys in Florida, and I think you're seeing it in Edmonton. These guys really like each other. I talked to the players, and they love that room. And it's credible when Calvin Pickard loves that room because he's been in more rooms than anybody other than the guys who go to the hospital here in Edmonton and have to wait for a doctor for 9 hours. He's been in a lot of rooms. So this is a very good place. And I think, again, we talk about, I don't know Lauren very well. I don't know her at all. Don't know what is interesting to her, but you saw the affection that was expressed to the clients I had lunch with in this little coffee shop the last few days. That's genuine. That's real. And that's their friends. And so it's really interesting, but I do think we have to give some thought to if this group doesn't come up with a strategy to show Connor or, anybody like him that this is the place to win. You come here, we have a sports science group that'll keep you playing longer. They're using this new science called AQ. They're going to be able to really elongate your career. We've got a group here that's working on some really cool, innovative revenue generating things on your name, image, and likeness rights. You might make $500,000. I don't know what it is, but you can't get off the same old traditional track because like Tony Robbins says, you can't continue to do the same thing you've done and expect different results. And I think that's what most teams are doing, right?
Yeah. Jason Gregor, Rich Winter with you on Sports 1440. We'll return and we'll talk about the build up to free agency and just how quick the decisions have to be made on July 1st. Comes up next on the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your #1 air conditioning company. So when you can't take living in oppressive heat any longer, call Legacy. Call Legacy. If your hot, sticky sheets keep you up all night, call Legacy. Call Legacy. If you've decided that you deserve to be cool and comfortable, call Legacy. Call Legacy. And with no payments, no interest for 1 year, it could only be Legacy Heating and Cooling.
When you look at a pipe, we just see a pipe. But at GS Construction, we know it's not just a pipe. It's the future water flowing to a growing family's home, or the sewer line for a new school. At GS Construction, we know every trench we dig connects people to what matters. And if you'd like to be part of that vision of making a better future, we're hiring. Right now, GS Construction is looking for experienced foremen to join our team. So apply today at gsconstruction.ca. GS Construction, underground with purpose.
New crust alert at Papa John's. Your favorite cheese meets your favorite pizza in the new cheddar crust pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's pizza makers created the perfect addition to their crust by melting garlic and herb seasoned cheddar cheese right on top of their fresh original dough that's made with 6 simple ingredients. Try a one-topping cheddar crust pizza today for only $17.99. You better hurry though, because it's only for a limited time. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
It was a heck of a ride. Thanks to the Edmonton Oilers for a fun playoff run. Now it's time to turn to football, soccer, baseball, and other summer sports from the team at Sports 1440, Edmonton's sports leader.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Culligan for all your residential water needs. Your local water treatment company, more than just big bottles. Culligan.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
.447, Jason Gregor, Rich Winter, Sports 1440, Orders Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hope you're having a lovely day. 833-401-1440. You can always text us in our UL inbox. It is the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. So, Rich, kind of take us through now. Like you have, a few guys. We've talked about Appleton. We'll see maybe him in the Jets, because sometimes guys will sign the final few days because they look and the Jets got a few free agents. Maybe they don't get Ehlers. Then, okay, well, maybe we get Appleton. We'll see what happens. But in a lot of cases, a lot of these guys are at least going to see, because you'll know what the Jets are offering before free agency, right? So you're like, okay, we know what they're offering. Then we can listen. 4 other teams call, okay, Mason, these guys offered this. These guys offered this. These guys offered this. Well, the Jets, you know what? If the Jets are within a certain range and you know exactly what you get there, your wife's comfortable, you're comfortable, away you go. How quick on free agency do you have to make decisions? Like
sometimes it's frightening. Like you might have, depending on the player, let's say you have 2 or 3 teams. You get into that phone call where the guy says, look, I got to decide.
Yeah.
Because he's got the same problem the other side. If he doesn't get our guy, he's losing the other guy, right?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes it can be 30 seconds, 2 minutes. Like it's really tough. That's why when Marian Hossa went on a 1-year deal to Detroit, I made the deal in advance with Ken Holland that the minute the season was over, I could talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And even in Marian's case, we went through, we did all the analytics. We picked Detroit or Chicago as the place most likely to win. And then just before free agency, he said to me, I wonder, should I just kind of I wouldn't mind sniffing around. I said, well, they traded Havlat. You committed. Yes, I can call Dale, which I did. And of course, he's, no, we can't do that. We're going to lose my job.
So it's safe to say that you need a good plan before you take the calls, right? Like you got to have a plan and attack to say, okay, we think this team will offer this. We think this team's going to offer this, right? do they come in and do you counter? Like, do you have, if they offer you, okay, Rich, we'll give Appleton 4 years at $5 million. I'm just throwing out a number, right? 4 years.
We know a lot more before we go in because we do a matrix which you send to the players, and we do a UFA playbook, send it all to them. We've analyzed all the teams. We've gone through them, like say, and we've targeted, let's say, 5 or 6 that we really like. Then we did look at the metrics that are important to them in order. Is it money and term? Is it role and coaching? Is it lifestyle? And so we have all of these metrics and listed importance to them. So we've kind of got a rating, and then all of the blue thumb things happen. It's like, we got a call today on one of my players who we had this team on the, no interest list because we just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Didn't see a spot really. They called us really interested, explained to how this player is going to go here. And we're thinking,
wait a sec. You're saying a team called you today before free agency?
Yeah.
Thought that's tampering.
No, they're calling to explain their situation. It's not really tampering because what happens is I'll phone them and I'll say, well, what are you looking for? There's nothing wrong with that. And they'll say, well, we really like a
so you don't
right
talk
shot
about
D.
Yeah. Are you looking for a right shot defenseman? Oh, okay, great. Well, I happen to have one. I'm just not going to mention his name.
Well, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing?
Right.
So what do you think? Would he be interested? Yeah, I might be. That kind of conversation I think is fine. And there's a lot more than that goes on, believe me. But at the end of the day, that was a surprise. But so we know in advance, we know going in that there's these 6 teams that are looking for a player like you. We know what your priorities are and we know where they stack. So you go in there with, it's not like you go, wow, Detroit. Well, what do you think of that? How about the Rangers? No. We've gone through all of that. We've narrowed the teams down. We have a pretty good idea. I had a call from a team that is in a metropolitan area, and their opening was the fishing here is awesome. Because he knew the player was an outdoors guy, and he wouldn't think of that particular team as, well, they're not that far from the ocean. That's probably true. And they explained the duck hunting and some other things. It was just funny that they actually was interesting. They actually knew that, right? So it's sometimes very difficult, and it's really hard for these players because they've been on a schedule since they went to their first tournament, right? They're told where to be. And like I always tell them, be careful what you ask for, because we asked for free agency years ago that used to be at 32 when their careers are over. Now we have it. And they go, I don't know. Like, what should I do, Rich? Tampa, Calgary, Edmonton, Toronto. Like, I don't know. Like, I kind of like, but what would you do? And I try and
how often do you as an agent, do you ultimately want to make sure you leave the decision up to the player so he never can come back to you and say, well, Rich, you told me to come here and this place sucks?
Well, you want to avoid that if you can. And one of the ways I've avoided it, if a player has a choice, I insist that he talks to the coach, because it really doesn't matter what I think or the general manager thinks. Because I've been in many situations where the general manager just loves this guy. You're thinking I'm doing a deal. It's like he's going to adopt him. This guy loves him maybe more than his own children, except he's not making the decision who goes on the ice. We find out the coach really isn't a fan in the end. So those players, they spend 5-10 minutes on the phone with the coach. They're pretty intuitive. This is their business. They know if that coach gets their game, and they'll get off the phone and say, yeah, okay, I think that's good. I love the role. You hear it from the coach. I mean, he's going to put me second line center. He sees me dropping down at times when we get different lineups. Like when it was just interesting because like one team called me on a particular player, talked about his ozone starts and this, that, and the other. And you start going, okay, well, it's good. They've done their homework. Yeah, they've done their homework. So that they're just not swinging for the fence or, and it was, so that kind of information, you relate back to the player. They said, I talked to the GM and this, and this, and they started looking at things and, asking what, we're here on July 1st. This guy understands your game, man. This is a place for you.
And so when you have multiple players on July 1st, do you have like multiple phones?
Yeah.
Right? Like you must have, right?
Yeah.
You sit in your office and, okay, we got to have Bob over here. And, you got some other people in your office because they got to be calling literally to say, okay, here you go. Because you've got 5 or 6 teams calling you about one player. So if you're on the phone, let's say with Stan Bowman, and the phone rings from another GM, do you just say, I'll call you back in 5 minutes? How
Well, it
does that
depends
work?
on where you are in the conversation, right? Like sometimes you just kind of wrapping up. Stan, I got to take this other call. And then you work through that. But like what we have done historically, we don't have that many free agents this year. But in years when you got 6, 8, 10, 12, you have support staff there with their phones. You send out an email well in advance. Okay, so here's the numbers I can be reached at. They call my cell first, then they call Rebecca's cell, and if Rebecca's not there, they call Dale's cell, and if Dale's not answering, they call.
Wow, okay.
Because you really need to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if other guys have 2 phones. I suspect some agencies, a little bit bigger, they might actually have couple of phones, right? So it's hard. Yeah, it can be hard, right?
When you look back, was there ever a free agent conversation where you had a guy sign with Team A and he turned down a similar deal with Team B that you look back and say, God, you know what? That was the wrong decision.
Well, there's one time I thought it was the wrong decision, right? Marion loved playing with Sid. And they're both really good quality people. They really like each other. And Mario Lemieux, Marion has in his home 3 jerseys. One on the right is Wayne Gretzky. The one on the left is Mario Lemieux. And the one is Marion Host in the middle. Like, he loved Mario Lemieux. And he turned down 7.5 times 5 from Marion. And he tells me to this day, he said, I still can't believe my hero. I'm sitting in a car, pulled over on a side road in Slovakia. And
Is that when he went to Chicago?
No, that's when he went to Detroit.
Detroit.
He turned down 5. And then I can't even tell you, it was the gut wrenching. So he not only turned down Pittsburgh, but they lose in game 7 to Pittsburgh the following year. Now, I understood that Marion was quite happy with the ultimate plan we made because he didn't go to win the cup. I mean, that was something he would have liked to do. But I can tell you at that moment, I'm thinking like, wow. But then we looked at it and we think if they would have kept Marion and let go Letang, which they would have had to do,
then maybe they wouldn't have won.
Exactly. But at the time,
was there one where a player went to a place and didn't have success, and you look and say, "Oh, geez," they're not necessarily a big star.
Gosh,
player. Where guys ended up being unhappy and different things like that. Because I'm sure there's cases where you're looking and say, you know what, hey, because the money in a lot of cases, Rich, isn't different. Right?
The biggest problem is too much money. That's the biggest problem. Guys, people don't realize it. Like, I think there's a range of what I call reasonable, where, at the top end of the range, the team's overpaid, but it's not an issue, right?
Yeah.
He's maybe worth 1.2 and you paid 1.4. Yeah, okay, whatever. Or he's worth 6 and you paid 6.5. At the lower end, same thing. He's worth 6 and he's getting 5.5, so you're not getting fired. It's like it's okay. But when you get overpaid, grossly overpaid, it's a nightmare. The expectations are high. People are whining in the room. They're trying to get you going. If you're in a hockey market, it's a nightmare. Your kid at schools, it's just not I think the worst thing that can happen to a player is to be grossly overpaid. And the worst thing that can happen to an agent is to have that client grossly underpaid.
Right.
In that range.
Have you ever had a player grossly underpaid?
I can't. I mean, I think I'd have to go back and think, but I'm sure I did in situations where they maybe wanted a little longer term or something. I'm sure some of those deals didn't age as well as we might have thought. Can't remember too many. No, I mean, I'm sure there's one. I mean,
what about a grossly overpaid?
Oh yeah, I had a couple of those. Briz was the big one, and that was so mind blowing because that whole situation was. There was no other place to go other than Philly. Like we made the trade. We did all kinds of things to put us in a position to have some leverage. And then we were looking at each other and going, yeah, this is it. But it's funny. I always tell him, right? Because he made 10 million each of the first 3 years and his buyout's 20 million. So he made $40 million to play 2 years. And every time I mention it to him, he goes, well, it's actually 37.5 because you remember the lockout. Yeah. So you only made 37.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy
for a few years.
But that was Briz's view of it. Briz had made a decent amount of money, but he was really hoping to put enough money in the bank for him and his wife and family. And it was about the money. He knew going to Philly, it's like the goalie graveyard. It's for some reason. And his frustration, of course, you heard him on the show. He goes, like, they signed me for $10 million a year to stop the puck. And they got guys flying all over in front of me. And I can't even see the puck.
Yeah.
I just want to see the puck. And so they signed him for $10 million, wanting to stop the puck. They never let him see the puck. And then they decided to buy him out and pay an extra $20 million because he wasn't stopping the puck. He couldn't see because of their strategy. That might have been the dumbest couple of years any organization has endured ever.
Dude, I'm when it comes to shop walking, I'm with you. I think at times it's grossly
There's
overrated.
a role for it, you know, but
sure, it's in specific times. Right.
Yeah.
And if you can block it, great. Otherwise, get the hell out of the way. Because if the goalie can't make a save from 40 feet, then he's not worth it.
No.
in today's NHL, you should
We
be
had
like, hey,
we had Steve Valiquette on the show. It's like that's the home run for the goalie. If I can see it,
yeah,
chances are I'll stop it.
Yeah.
99%, not 91% of the time, 99%.
yeah, unless it's like a really well-placed sniper who's got, 20 feet out, the goalie
Yeah,
goes down the
then
butterfly.
that's-
That's a little
that-
different.
yeah, that's a little
But
different.
from distance, distance shots should not beat you if you can see. That's why it's like, try to get in his eyes on the release, right? We talked to Steven, talked about that. He goes, that's the hardest thing for a goalie. It's not just stand there. It's like, because even if you're in front of me and I see where the release is at, I have a pretty good idea of where the puck's going.
Yeah.
It's if you can get in their eyes now I don't see the release point. Now I'm guessing.
Well, they know where the puck is going probably fairly accurately when the guy starts, getting into that whip of his stick. They kind of know. So it's not like they're like it came off the stick and they go, wow, where did that come from?
Yeah. So it's fascinating stuff. So well, enjoy the next few days, Rich.
Yeah, it's going to be okay. Yeah. It's had a lot of hurry up and wait right now because they're in their amateur scouting meetings. So you're trying to get a hold of a guy and check in. Are you still okay? Because, and I do a lot of repeat calling because.
And by the way, didn't you have the Pitlick guys who just signed with the orders in the American League deal? The Pitlick brothers?
Yeah, that was an adventure. But I mean, these two young men hired me and they wanted to play on the same team. And I tried to explain to them, one's a Ford F-150 and the other's like maybe like a Toyota Supra. Okay. So you don't buy those at the same place and you don't usually sell them at the same place. Like it's not like you can go because they have to need both of you. And it's just a strange set of circumstances. They're both very strong Christians and they just had utmost faith. And they kept saying to me, well, we have faith that you can get this done. And I'm just going, I don't think I can get it done.
But you got him signed for anybody who doesn't know. It just announced
Well, and it
yesterday.
became very funny because, Rhett, the younger brother, is a huge fan of Wayne Gretzky.
Right.
And his nickname's Gretzky, right?
Okay.
So he just, he played those few games and did very well in the playoffs. And he just said, like, every time I see Keith, man, he calls me Gretzky. So I'm thinking Keith just talked to Wayne about where they're meeting for dinner. And then he comes down the room and calls me Gretzky. Like he just was really, and then they both were looking for, and I said to them, like, Rem's a decent player, right?
Yeah.
And, the wings here aren't settled and we don't know who they're going to get. You two yahoos could be playing on a line with Leon Draisaitl next year if there's a few injuries and you're both playing well. And if that happens, they have to get like, the story is amazing how we ended up here, but it is nothing. Their parents are glowing. They're out of the moon, but I'd like to take full credit for it. But it had really just a weird set of circumstances happen. And when Bill Scott phoned me and said, do you think his older brother would like to play with his younger brother? And I talked about that. See if, are you serious? Like, but there's little circumstance like Rhett came now because Rhett wasn't scheduled to come to Edmonton. He hummed and hawed. We were negotiating with Washington and other teams. He was trying to see if we could still figure out an angle where Rem might play on that team for a while. Washington walked away because he was taking so much time and went to plan B. And then Bill Scott calls me and says, what's Rhett doing? Because they passed like 3 times.
Mhm.
They had like 3 injuries.
Yeah.
So they need a guy. So Rhett goes there. And then Bill starts looking down and goes, he's a game off being a veteran Rem. So it's a big deal in the state, in the American Hockey League. So he's a skilled player. He's got 115, 120 NHL games, and he's not a veteran.
Yes.
So he phones me up and says, so add it all up, and maybe those two guys didn't think of it, but it's going to be fun. I mean, it'll be just fun. I'm looking forward to training camp more than ever for one reason, to see those two guys in an exhibition game together. Because that was fun. That was really interesting.
Awesome. Well, Rich, great stuff, man. Enjoyed, and we will. We'll touch base every now and then in the summertime. See how things are going.
Yeah, use sunscreen.
Yeah, well, buddy, all the time. Get out there, get an umbrella. Might be raining.
Okay, see you later.
It's Rich Winter, the business of sport. Let's get to Connor Halley and a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home to no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool, legacyheating.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Okay, so you missed it. The Oilers sending Evander Kane to the Vancouver Canucks for a 4th-round pick in this year's draft. No salary retained. Kane missed the entire regular season, recovering from multiple injuries. He had 6 goals, 12 points in 21 playoff games. Tonight, NBA draft gets going just after 6 o'clock from Brooklyn with the Dallas Mavericks on the clock. And the Edmonton Riverhawks on the road in Victoria once again, taking on the Harbor Cats. Those two teams meeting at 7:35 in the majors. It's early, but the Jays trail the Guardians 1-0 in the second. Elsewhere, Rangers on top of the Orioles 1-0. Athletics Tigers are scoreless. Earlier today, White Sox over the Diamondbacks 7-3. Brewers doubled up the Brewers 4-2. Angels get past the Red Sox 5-2. And it was the Nationals falling to the Padres 1-0. Montreal captain Marie-Philippe Poulin has won the PWHL, the Billie Jean King Award as the MVP for this past season, finishing with 19 goals and 26 points in 30 games. Coming up in hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we will be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet and Oilers Director of Amateur Scouting, Rick Tracy. I'm Connor Halley. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Silent Ice Sports and Entertainment is an innovative market leader across Western Canada with sports and entertainment properties including the Spruce Grove Saints, the Junior Prospects Hockey League, Silent Rides Charter Company, the Hockey Super League, and the newly launched Female Super League. Silent Ice also owns the Western Hockey League's Seattle Thunderbirds and operates the Morinville AAA Arena. The Silent Ice Center, a new state-of-the-art entertainment facility, is open in Nisku, which features 2 sheets of ice, including a 1,600-seat arena and a restaurant with a viewing area.
You don't have to wait. Boxing Day is back at the Brick. For 4 days, shop incredible deals, like mattresses starting at just $99. Save big on genuine leather sofas and sectionals. Queen beds start at only $199. And save the tax when you buy 2 or more major kitchen appliances. Plus, get free local delivery on outdoor furniture purchases of $499 or more. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. Boxing Day starts Friday at the Brick, saving you more.
The dog days of summer means baseball. Every weekend, Sports 1440 carries Toronto Blue Jays ball games. Ben Shulman will have the call. Grab a cold one and tune in this weekend to Blue Jays baseball on Sports 1440.
Imagine a family get-together where the smiles are as genuine as the conversations. That's the feeling you get at Nisku Ford, a family-owned dealership where finding a new Ford feels just like catching up with old friends.
Make sure to swing by Nisku Ford in June to take advantage of 0% financing or choose a total savings of up to $18,500 on select 2024 vehicles.
The coffee's on, so drive into Nisku Ford or visit niskuford.ca today. Above expectations.
What's your vision for your community? At Vision Credit Union, ours is a thriving rural Alberta where kids have team jerseys, firefighters have the gear they need, and community kitchen fridges stay full. It's why we give back millions every year through grants, donations, sponsorships, and profit shares. Because when your community succeeds, we all do. Bank somewhere with Vision. Vision Credit Union. We see banking differently. Learn more at visioncu.ca.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Did you know that Japa offers in-house and on-site service? Rain or shine, Japa's service department is here for you. Get a quote now at japamachinery.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Rolling through a lovely wet Wednesday afternoon. Sports 1440, sports1440.ca. The Jason Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. Get in the game tonight. Max Scherzer making his Blue Jays debut tonight. You've got all the odds boost, daily specials. Check it out at PlayAlberta.ca. You can get in on Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Ben Rice. Kind of a combo bet if you like. Check it out. PlayAlberta.ca. The Gregor Show, of course, Monday to Friday, We will be on next Tuesday for Canada Day. Our show will be off, but we will have we're likely going to have a special Canada Day free agent frenzy starting right at 10 a.m. Because we assume the Edmonton Oilers are going to do something, I would think. Let's get to the spec report brought to you by GS Construction, your underground infrastructure specialists. You want to work for a fantastic company to not just get a job, but have a career? Go to gsconstruction.ca and apply today. As Mark Spector joins us from Rogers Sportsnet. Spec, how you doing?
Good. Day started off a little busier than we thought, didn't it?
Yeah, well, Evander Kane getting traded, not a surprise, I don't think. I think this was kind of one of him and Arvidsson, I thought was pretty obvious. I mean, saying it really since the season ended that those guys would get moved. And, you know, the Oilers, they don't retain any salary. It's kind of like the Mason Marchment deal. It goes in the division. I guess, look at this from both sides, Spec. How do you make this trade out for Edmonton and Vancouver?
Well, there's a long answer coming for both teams. You know, I feel like Evander Kane, everybody knows that getting him in a contract year, he's 34. He's got 1 year left in this deal, and then he's going to probably sign the last contract of his National Hockey League career. So getting him next season, you should get a good player, right? I think you should get a good player. I felt like the way he played in the playoffs, the Dallas series, the Florida series, I felt like the Oilers thought we can live without the good player. You know, there's a lot of talk out there. Evander Kane's moving him out because of all this and that and off the ice and ex-wives, all that stuff. No. Evander Kane becomes the guy they pick to move his salary because of all the minor penalties, right? He led in his time in Edmonton, Jason, he led the Oilers in penalty minutes, but he only had 4 major penalties. He led them in minor penalties, right? Mm-hmm. Way too many minor penalties. His board work was poor. You know, the finer points of the game that you want from a veteran, the little things, keeping a cycle going. We've all seen the video of Draisaitl's fed up with him on the bench one night. Corey Perry's fed up with him on the bench the other night. It's his on-ice play that I'm not saying he's been horrible, but it's been the difference between him being a guy you keep and go forward with or a guy whose salary you choose to move.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally valid. And, you know, Kane, I will say this, though, for a guy who didn't play all year, I thought when he got later in the playoffs, I just think lack of conditioning starts to catch up with you. And I do think that's probably a small part in it. But the lack of conditioning doesn't mean you should be taking the penalties he took. And I've said that all along, like offensive zone penalties, like following through on hits where your stick should not be in the guy's chin. There's no reason for it. And it just kept happening. Yeah. So, you know, they move him out. Most of his salary will be replaced by Trent Frederick when that contract is announced, but it's Frederick at 3.8, Kane at 5.1, and then you add someone else in, and that's basically going to be a 2-for-1 and a 4th rounder. I think Arvidsson is next coming up for Edmonton. But like, what do you think about Vancouver and kind of what's going to unfold for Kane in Vancouver?
Well, I've always said that, you know, like Evander Kane in Edmonton's been in the end pretty much a success story. You came here, lots of baggage, lots of questions. He only played 55% of the regular season games here due to injury. But in the end, I think you'd say that Evander Kane was pretty good here. He helped them win. He played big games. He was a big game player. All of those things. Because Edmonton had, Jason, I've always said this, he needs to be in a dressing room where some of the things he brings to the table won't affect anybody. You know, taking the Lamborghini across the street from the hotel to the rink in LA when everyone else just takes the bus or walks. You know, the unfortunate drama his ex-wife, which is no fault of his, but does bring to the team, and you can't deny it. She does, and that's a pain. You know, there's just he brings some drama. There's always drama with Evander Kane, but the Oilers room, it's a good room. They got good veterans. They got excellent leadership. It's been no problem. He has not affected that team negatively in any way. Now let's talk about Vancouver, right? Do they have an excellent dressing room? Probably not. Is their leadership top-notch, excellent, practiced, good? It appears that they're not, right? Do they have too much drama already in Vancouver? Yes, they do. Do they have a rookie head coach who's never really had, you know, Adam Foote's been through lots of stuff, but now he's a head coach. He's got a big enough job. So I'm surprised that of 31 other teams, Jay, the one that took Evander Kane turned into Vancouver. I think, I could think of a lot of teams where he could go and thrive. Let's hope he thrives in Vancouver. If it goes well, good. If it doesn't go well, it might go ugly.
Yeah, no, that's probably valid. I also think there was, he controlled a little bit on where he could go, right? There was that factor, and I think going home was important to him. And Kane's one who's always, looking at, hey, as much as there's on the ice, can I do some deals off of the ice in my community and give back and all those sorts of things? So that might play a factor.
He grew up a lot in Edmonton. Like, I got to say this, the guy that left Buffalo, the guy that left Winnipeg, even the guy in San Jose, he comes up here. He's in his 30s now. He's got a family. They had a couple more kids up here in Edmonton. He lived in a home here. Like, he matured and became, he wasn't 23-year-old Evander Kane anymore, right? A lot of that stuff is out of his world. He's just a regular.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff is out of his.
There's still some behind the scenes stuff that I don't think is ideal from what I heard. So we'll see. Yeah. Moving to the orders, and the Arvidsson deal, I think is going to come here. I can tell you that Glenn Gulutzan had his interview with the Dallas Stars on what's today? Wednesday, Monday, I think it was, maybe even Tuesday. Might have been Tuesday, in fact. And so usually, how my understanding is, Spec, the orders grant permission, but you have a window of time. And, it might be 5 days. It might be a week. Okay. So you have your interview and then you decide, and you can hire him in that time, or if not, then the door's closed. So, you know what? And Gulutzan has his interview. My understanding was he was the last person to be interviewed in Dallas because they'd interviewed other ones. And obviously the order season just ended. So he was the final one of the interviews. And then they'll make a decision here probably before free agency. And then so he's either going to go there, or I firmly expect, now he doesn't have a contract, but I would expect that if he doesn't get the head coach job in Dallas, that he would be back in it.
Okay, I would think that's how it goes. First thing I'd say is I hope he gets a job down there. He's deserving of another shot. He's done a pretty good job up here with the power play, and with his, he's been part of a coaching staff that's had a lot of success. So I think he'd be a good candidate in Dallas. I don't know what Chris Knobloch's thinking. Chris Knobloch inherited a coaching staff, and now all their contracts are up. This is his chance to shape his coaching staff. I'm not picking names out and saying this guy's a good guy and that guy's a bad guy and all that. Knobloch's the guy that knows it's his opinion that matters. So this is his moment here this summer to say, I want my guys. I want one of my guys. I got a guy I've always wanted to work with. I love the guys we have. This is the moment. So I would be surprised if this coaching staff, Jay, returns exactly as it left in Florida, wouldn't you? It's got to be some changes somewhere around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I firmly expect it. I wrote it that, last week with the guys, Mark Stewart, I think is kind of an obvious one. I think it's important, Spec, when you look around coaching staffs, your head coach usually has one assistant who was a former head coach, because that guy knows what it feels like to be in the shoes of the head coach when you have to make a decision on your lineup and all of a sudden you're taking a guy out of the lineup, right? And even let's say all of a sudden the power play isn't working and you're not in charge of it. You have a guy who's in charge. Now, sure, you oversee, you have say, but you're not really there. That's why you have to give people responsibilities. But guess who it falls on? It falls on the head coach ultimately, right? And I talked to Stan Bowman, and Stan told me flat out that his philosophy is head coach makes the decisions on who's on his staff, because he thinks it's fair for the coach and it's actually better for all of them when you do an evaluation on your head coach. Because if you give him a guy that he doesn't really want, and you're like, well, the power play sucked, and coach is like, well, I didn't want to hire that guy. You made me take him, right? So that gets out of the equation. And my understanding is, Chris and Glenn Gulutzan had a very good relationship. So I think there's a really good chance he comes back. I don't know where Paul Coffey's at as far as does he want to come back and that. So we'll see. I think, he's done a pretty good job with the defense corps since he's come in. So I could see that returning. They came in at the exact same time, they had the exact same success. And then, of course, Mark Stewart, I think because the penalty kill, I think there'll be a change there just because you want to add someone. And then the goalie coach is a different one, but I think it's a goalie coach that's been there a long time. And you know me, Spec, I'm not a big pound the pavement. I actually, was the guy, all these people wanted to fire the goalie coach all the time because they made up false things about all these goalies having great careers everywhere else when there's actually no truth to that. Right. Oh, yeah. Anthony Stolarz. I'm like, the guy that was here for 6 games, you clearly don't know how a goaltending coach works. He's not changing a guy in 6 games, you donkeys. And by the way, those 6 games were in 2016, but now that he started for the Leafs in 2025, somehow that means those 6 games mattered. Like, my God, what a stupid argument. But anyway, the truth of the matter is, Schwartz has been here 10 years, and I could see a change coming when the contract, because it's up, it's just easier, right? You're not firing guys. You're just making a change.
Yeah, and like I say, in every coach's background, there's guys. There's people Knobloch's worked with. There's people he's gotten to know that he'd love to work with. This is his chance to be. He's earned the right to put his own stamp on his staff. He's been 2 years here now, and you're not going to get much more than Chris Knobloch's giving you. He's been a pretty good coach in this town. He has won. When did he sign a new contract before the start of last year?
Knobloch signed his contract when he came in. It was a 3-year deal.
It's not a 3-year deal. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, the point is, he's due. When the time comes, we're not questioning whether we're signing Chris Knobloch. He deserves to put his own staff together. Get out of his way. Give him an open leeway here and see what he does.
You look at some of the, the other decisions. We're going to have Rick Bracey coming up here right away talking about the amateur draft. They do have another pick now, but do you expect a goalie trade, a goalie free agent signing, or stand pat on the goalies between now and July 2nd?
I don't know. The free agent market is so unimpressive. There just isn't a guy. To me, unless Stan Bowman can shake loose a goaltender that we are not aware of out there, a guy that we think that we're not talking about, right? Like, I'm seeing all these guys. Lyon in Detroit is one of the top names. Well, man, he's not better than Stu Skinner. Don't bring in, God bless Tam Calvert. He's an awesome guy, but at this stage, is he better than Stu Skinner? No. It sounds like Vancouver's going to sign Demko. We've been through all the goalies, Jay. You and me have done it on the show. You've done it 10 times with Woodley. We know who they all are. All I know is this. When Ken Holland went out a few summers ago and everybody in town said, get a goalie, man. We need a goalie. Go get one. He had a choice between Darcy Kemper, who told him, I'm not coming to Edmonton. Don't trade for me. There was that Finnish cat in Detroit. Ville Husso, right? He was available from St. Louis. Detroit snapped him up early because they were so smart. He can't play. And the only guy left available was Jack Campbell. And Ken Holland felt pressured to get a goaltender, and he signed Jack Campbell, and that's a disaster. So, I'm not saying bring back the same thing. Like, I'm not saying just run ahead with Pickard and Stu Skinner. But I am saying don't just panic and get some guy because there's pressure to get some guy. Because last time Ken Holland did that, it was a train wreck of a contract. So if he's not there right now, he might be there during the season, Jay.
Yeah, awesome. Okay,
what do you think? What do you think? Where do you get your goalie from here?
I think free agency is likely where it's going to, well, maybe trade, but I'd be surprised if the exact 2 same goalies are the only 2 goalies. I think there'll be at least a 3rd goalie heading into training camp.
But if you spend your capital, who do you like in the free agent class? Like who turns your crank that you think might beat Stu Skinner?
I don't like anybody to beat him out, Spec. I just like maybe they think it's one to just add a little bit more. You're going to say, hey, we're going to go in with 2 guys who we think can be better. That's it. Like Stu Skinner to me still has room to grow and develop. I don't think he's done. I don't think he's reached his peak as a goalie, and that's why I wouldn't be in a rush to trade him.
Oh, no. I mean, I said this yesterday or the day before. If you can give me Ilya Sorokin in a trade, yeah, I'll trade him.
Sure.
If you can give me one of the very top guys in the league, I'll trade Skinner in that deal. I sure will. But anything less, I'm hanging on to him. But now I'm trying to augment, and I'm just, like I say, what about, like there's talk out of Boston that they approached, Stan Bowman approached Boston for Jeremy Swayman. Now, that's a guy who's an upgrade. I know he had a bad year last year. He held out. His year was a train wreck. The Bruins were a train wreck. They weren't any good, right? But that's a guy who we look at and say, you know what? He's a little bit better than Stu Skinner. That's a guy who makes your tandem a hell of a lot better. Okay, that's a guy I can live with. But don't bring back Alex Lyon or Vanacek or one of these guys. Like, don't do it, man.
No, I would agree wholeheartedly on that. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Spec, have a good one. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right.
There you go. That's a Spec Report brought to you by GS Construction. We'll come back. Rick Tracy will join us in the Gregor Show, presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
New crust alert at Papa John's. Your favorite cheese meets your favorite pizza in the new cheddar crust pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's pizza makers created the perfect addition to their crust by melting garlic and herb seasoned cheddar cheese right on top of their fresh original dough that's made with 6 simple ingredients. Try a one-topping cheddar crust pizza today for only $17.99. You better hurry though, because it's only for a limited time. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
So you're dying from the heat, wet dripping on your sheets. You want to cool it down, but your AC can't compete. So you fall upon your knees and cry out, oh please, I need a cooling breeze. Send me Legacy's AC Repairman. Legacy's AC Repairman. AC Repairman. Can't spell legacy without AC. Legacy Heating and Cooling's got a guy who's really good at fixing broken ACs. So if you got one, call Legacy. Okay, see you later. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Is it Riverside Motorsports? No. It's Riverside Motorsports. Over 55 years in business, and people still get it wrong. Guess it's time to get it right.
Riverside Motorsports. What you do for fun is our business.
Hey, everybody, it's Gene Principe. How would you like to join me and others? It's the Edmonton Hockey Legends Cruise, and it's the summer of 2026. It begins July 17th, 7 nights on the Mexican Riviera. We go to Cabo, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, and visit cast.tours/Edmonton. Number to call is 1-833-347-7678.
Save $200 when you mention promo code Stingray Radio. That's cast.tours, or call 1-833-347-7678.
Whoop, there it is. 4 days of basketball at its best. Hoop City 2025, North America's largest FIBA 3x3 showcase. The top 4 Olympic teams on both men's and women's categories, featuring Canada's women's Olympic team, with Edmonton's own Michelle and Catherine Blue. More than just hoops. There's entertainment, long-distance shootout, Grand Slam showcase, plus interactive games and prizes for everyone. Hoop City 3x3 Basketball Festival, July 31st to August 3rd. Ice Palace and West Edmonton Mall. Admission is free, so bring the whole family.
The Discovery Day sales event is on now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. It's your final month to lease a 2025 XC90 plug-in hybrid from 1.49% and save $5,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC60 plug-in hybrid from 0.49% and save $4,000. Lease or finance a 2025 XC40 from 0.49% and save up to $2,000. Come and discover the deals now at Volvo Cars Edmonton. Great vehicles, better services. Only at VolvoCarsEdmonton.com.
Action Electrical's projects team takes the field, folks, ready to execute the entire play for new commercial builds.
Absolutely. They're masters of design, build, sketching strategy, from initial blueprints to core electrical infrastructure. The team never misses on complex projects.
Known for handling big league constructions and major renovations, ensuring flawless execution, hire the Action Electrical team to bring home a win for your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
At Fountain Tire, success is a team effort. They're committed to their team members and their customers. And that means treating your vehicle like it's their own and finding solutions that suit your needs. Because whatever the road brings ahead, they're on it with you. Visit fountaintire.com today.
Take your skating to the next level with Aligned Custom Skate Performance Sherwood Park. Their expert alignment process ensures the perfect fit for that much-needed edge on the ice. Suddenly, your skates feel like an extension of yourself. Whether it's blade alignment, pressure points in your boot, or a fresh sharpening, Aligned Custom Skate Performance has you covered. Book an appointment, experience the difference, and discover why they're trusted by hockey pros and podium champions. Aligned Custom Skate Performance, where precision meets passion. AlignedSkate.com.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Cantork. What's the best way to beat the tariffs? Buy Canadian. Cantork's products are not only made in Canada, but right here in Edmonton. Save money, support Canada at cantork.com.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
$5:30. Welcome back. Jason Gregor, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram. Hope you're having a lovely, lovely Wednesday. And had a little bit monsoon rainstorm there for a bit. Seems to have slowed down depending on where you're at. So if you're in it, be careful. Be careful. Let's get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the Hockey Super League, a premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development, offering borderless hockey, including provincial and cross-province competition. Check out hockeysuperleague.ca for more information. As we are a few days away from the NHL entry draft, a little bit different this year because all the teams, instead of being in one location in LA, they're all going to be in their own, well, most of them in their offices, at their building. And will that change it? Maybe for the drafting guys, probably not. Maybe you can have a little bit louder conversation because the teams aren't sitting 2 feet away from you. But, the work and the preparation is all going to be the same, or at least I think it is. We'll find out. The director of amateur scouting for the Edmonton Oilers, Rick Precy, joins us. Rick, welcome back to the show, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Appreciate it. How are you doing, Jason?
Excellent. So how different, Rick, is this year going to be? Is it a benefit, do you think, being kind of there? Can you be louder when you have the talks, or are most of the talks already done before the draft starts?
I think a bit of both. I am kind of sort of looking forward maybe to having, it's a constant whisper. It's a lean to your left, lean to your right. And then a lot of times you're up and out of your chair, moving to, an area scout or having a conversation with a group of guys. So that part I think will be beneficial, just to have an open conversation, having the big board, sort of a one view we're working on with our lists and different ways we can go about it. So that part should be beneficial, I would guess. I'm looking forward to that part, having the ability to, have one conversation and having everybody up to speed on what our decisions are, instead of sort of, you never want somebody that's 200 games and worked hard all year to maybe be a couple chairs down and miss out what you're talking about. So I think that'll be beneficial that way.
Okay. When you go in, Rick, you don't have a first rounder. Now, you didn't have a first rounder last year. You guys ended up trading for it. The problem is you've already traded your first rounder next year. So it'll be a little bit difficult to match what you did last year, even if you really like a player, just because you don't have a first rounder to offer. Because that trade, in hindsight, a year later, it's probably worked out even better than you thought. O'Reilly had an unreal season, and I don't know if there's a player who's going to be available in the draft that's going to be equal to him at number 31.
I would agree. Yeah. There's certainly players we like, but hindsight's always dangerous in this business, and we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But certainly happy with the progress Ryan's making, or Chad's making. Sorry.
So you look at the approach when you don't have a first and you probably don't have a second. Now, you did acquire another pick today. So you right now, at least, currently you have a third and a fourth rounder. What's your approach kind of, I hear best player available. And I think there's some truth to that, but then there's also, what style of guy do we need? Like if the best player available is another, a right shot defenseman who's a power play guy, you're like, well, man, if we just signed Evan Bouchard to an 8-year deal, we're probably not going to be needing a right shot power play guy. Does that factor in at all?
Not really. I mean, we're such a, 3-5 years out, even in, really good situations. So, you're keeping track on things, what's going on with your current roster, but your current roster is always in flux. Even when you do long-term deals, you're looking for future, competition from within if you can make astute picks and things of that nature. But, there's philosophy ideas that get put around. There's, are you trying to accomplish certain traits at certain picks? With your top pick, you're certainly trying to find hockey sense and instincts and competitiveness and skill. So you're still reaching and trying to find the same thing regardless of sort of the cycle of your team. Now, having two of the top players in the world certainly helps, takes pressure off when you don't have an early pick, trying to replace those stars or find those stars or get those stars in your system. So we're very fortunate that way, and we're still trying to build a team looking at different ways of doing it.
Rick Bracey joins us, Director of Amateur Scouting for the Edmonton Oilers. NHL entry draft 2025 goes Friday for the first round, and then rounds 2 to 7 on Saturday. And Rick, your kind of philosophy as an amateur scout, you've been doing this for a long time. How has it changed and evolved over the years for you, and maybe how you approach the draft now than you did, 5-10 years ago?
Yeah, I would think you used to think you were diligent, but certainly we have far greater resources, far greater information, the advances in video, the advances in metrics, the ability to get different information at the amateur level is, even in the last 5 years has taken, significant strides. So that part for sure. And then the vetting process is still a little bit old school. You're calling the teachers and the education consultants, the trainers, the managers, the scouts. So that part is similar. We have an evaluation of our expectation of our staff of what we need to do for any player that's on our list in an area. So it's a big responsibility. But I think at the end of the day, you're still drilling down on information and understanding how to use it, and then ultimately hedging on what you believe in. And getting a player is the key, and then getting a good fit is part of the process as well. But it's certainly far more information, and then now we're at the stage where we need to understand the information, and we've got some terrific resources internally that help us out with that.
And Rick, so do you go as deep as, you sit down and you talk to a family of it, you say, hey, like, what's your guys' genetic tree here? Like, because some people, their family genetics, they don't really fill out till they're 20 or 21. That's just how it is, right? And usually in that family tree where some, guess what? They fill out 16, 17. They grow. Like, how in depth do you have to go even on a personal level to look at a player? Because you can project how you think a guy might grow. And I know some are like, oh, you look at his feet and everything like that. And there might be truth to that or not. But a lot of times you can find out where the family tree is, and historically kind of when some guys will fill out at 18, 19, because you can be like, well, this might be as much as you're getting. Like there's not going to be much more growth on this frame, where someone else might have 3 or 4 years left still of filling out.
Yeah, I think some of it is still real primitive. I would say, like it's, the grandfather was bigger, the sister's bigger. There's a little bit of that, but I think that, we don't really, even if you've been burned by that one way or another in the past, you're pretty cautious about it. But we do get I know there's information that in talking with Chad, internally, when we get and analyze and go over the combine information and all the testing, I know there's a handful of things that he would prefer we had information to help him out with that assessment. But there's still things like wingspan. There are different indicators and different tests that we get information on that can help us get a little more scientific explanation or prognostication of it, as opposed to, mom stall or grandpa stall. But that still goes on in the scouting world when you're around the rinks. And like you said, someone's got a size 11 skate that's, 5'9", and you're curious, and still certainly a lot of that. But we do get some information out of the combine that's helpful. But I do know that there are a couple of tests out there that we think would help us with that. If we could ever get to the stage where we could implement something, I think we'd be in business too. But right now it's taking what we have. But things like wingspan, for example, you can work with it. Frames, the way they test, body types. There's a scientific approach that we use as well.
Now, you mentioned a test that you'd like to get in that isn't in. What test is that?
Good question. That's something I probably shouldn't reveal, but it would be an MRI imaging of a body part.
Okay.
No, I could leave it at that.
Yeah. No, that's fair. All right. Yeah, I think that's fair. So, because you can you look at it and you see players, and I'm sure Rick, you've seen lots of good players, and one of the biggest things still that sidetracks players' careers is injury, and it's incredibly hard to determine. But we've had doctors and scientists tell me that the advancements are coming on having more of a predictable outcome on somebody and what their long-term health is going to be, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, and that would add another layer of, as much as we think it would be helpful, it could add another layer of uncertainty to it too as well. We think that the information could be such, and you make a decision, based off it, and you could be kicking yourself later too. So until we understand a lot of it, there's still some old school in there too.
Yeah. Rick Bracey joins us. So Rick, we always hear, drafts deeper, next year might be better and all that, but there's always good players and good organizations, especially when you don't have first rounders. Like, those third and fourth round picks coming up on Saturday could be vital for your team down the road. And this is kind of like the Stanley Cup for amateur scouts. You don't look at it as, I only have a third. You're like, now I got an extra pick. I got 2 chances here to really like a player. And history is littered with really good players every year in the third and fourth rounder. You just got to find them. What goes into it maybe that's different in the third and fourth round compared to the first round in evaluating players?
Well, sometimes you can get fortunate. You always want the picks. Don't get me wrong, but I'd rather be competing for the Stanley Cup than
fair.
Crying over not having a first or second rounder.
Yes, no.
Like sometimes, a lot of decisions get made on pressure points. Historically, the treadmill mistakes are over and underrating size, over and underrating skating, those type of things. And no matter how much year by year goes by, they're pretty habitual. So sometimes a player can fall to you for those particular reasons. You have to take on there's always risk assessment, but you take on risk. And then you can also get aggressive. Like our goal would be, to find players. We don't look at it as, 82 decisions are made before we pick type of thing. We're pretty kind of excited about a group of players. I know that may sound hard to believe, but we've been preparing for it. Okay. So we've also been able to isolate, kind of reality-based players and that are worrying about, guys in the top 10, who's 7, who's 8, who's 9. We're focusing rather on an area of our list. We're like, okay, what are the probabilities of a player like this getting through? And then we have a system that encourages finding value and being aggressive. So we have a whole bunch of criteria that we're looking for in players that we think maybe goes under the radar. We don't think we're smarter than anyone, but we certainly look for a certain set of circumstances that we think, could have a player, undervalued by the industry. And so we had to try to beat the house. And, because of that, the pick acquired today, it's, 33 selections away from 83. I go, is that right? Math? 117, 83 to 117. So basically, there's maybe an outside chance that we could get 2 of the guys we were looking at 83. So we will be aggressive, and that comes with a chance of, maybe making a mistake, but we have certain things that we look for and we'll push. So we'll be aggressive. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Now, Rick, you mentioned there's always good players there. You got to find one. When you look at kind of how the game's going right now, and size and mobility on the back end seems to be more valuable than ever. There's the outlier for sure, right? Cale Makar, an elite player. But smaller D-men, unless they're like truly elite offensively, they don't seem to have a great amount of success in the playoffs. Does that factor in at all in drafting? Or are you just looking at best player now and you worry, or do you have to take that into account the way the game's going recently when it comes to playoff success?
I think there's probably a balance. Like there's one perspective where sort of asset, right? Can you acquire an asset, and an asset's an asset? If you get a good player, maybe there's value in the prospect type of thing, and whether that player eventually makes it to your roster, it could be a good chip to help improve your roster if you make an astute selection. So there's that part of it, and then there's also philosophy. Like if we're trying to get our team over the edge, is there certain things that we're trying to finite look for traits? And it goes back to, our team's in a certain cycle where we can place a lot of value on contributions to winning, and we can isolate that and look at a particular event. So I think it's a bit of mixture, and there's some philosophy. Like, maybe you can't have 4 defensemen like you're describing, but maybe if the right one's there, you take them. And sometimes skill plays with skill, and sometimes if we have our top forwards that we do, getting them the puck is important. So I think it's a bit of both. And back to your original point, I've been in this 25 years, and the more I go, I don't know if I understand what best player available means. 32 teams with 32 staffs with 10 to 15 people per staff, and managers and presidents, and it's in the eye of the beholder for sure. But everyone's looking for ability. I got a bit of a soft spot for that word versus talent. Talent's a no-no kind of in my book. So we like ability, we like competitiveness, and we build from there.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Well, Rick, we really appreciate this. Enjoy the next few days leading up to the draft and then the draft itself. We appreciate your time. Best of luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Rick Bracey, Director of Amateur Scouting. And they're going to be aggressive. And you know what? The great part about it is they'll make picks. You'll have a lot of people with different opinions. Like I always chuckle at the draft grades like 2 minutes after the draft is done. And they're talking about, this guy. And because a lot of them are basing it on where they had the guys ranked, right? It's based on their opinion. Hey, this is where we had them ranked before. So if this guy was taken here and he was taken 60th and we had him 75th, well, we don't think that's a good pick. But man, this guy went 75th and we had him ranked 40th. Oh, that's a hell of a pick. So there is always a little bias to it, but it's fun. People love discussing the draft grades. Like it's, hey, you get a top 5 pick. Usually you're going to have a decent draft grade. That's just how it works. Quick break. We'll return on the Gregor Show. Wrap things up. Presented by PlayAlberta.ca.
The sun is shining, the weather's warm, and some of Edmonton's favorite sports are back in season. If you're looking for the cherry on top of a perfect summer day, check out Play Alberta to experience casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Download the Play Alberta app today and deposit $20 or more with promo code OIL to claim a $100 casino bonus. That's promo code OIL for a $100 casino bonus on us. Gameable once per Play Alberta account. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
The employee pricing event is on now at GMC. Right now, get up to $12,000 off the 2025 Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate. Bring power wherever you go with a 6.2-liter EcoTech V8 engine with dynamic fuel management technology. Bring style to the open road with a signature Denali Vader chrome grille and accents. And keep comfort top of mind with available Super Cruise hands-free driver assistance capability. Employee pricing is on now. Ask your GMC dealer for details.
New crust alert at Papa John's. Your favorite cheese meets your favorite pizza in the new cheddar crust pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's pizza makers created the perfect addition to their crust by melting garlic and herb seasoned cheddar cheese right on top of their fresh original dough that's made with 6 simple ingredients. Try a one-topping cheddar crust pizza today for only $17.99. You better hurry though, because it's only for a limited time. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, proudly locally owned and operated.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need. Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939. We're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions and project service tag for solar And solar for commercial or residential, contact them today at actionelectrical.net.
The Jason Gregor Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
Welcome back, Jason Gregor, Connor Halley, Sports 1440, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. Hey, Gregs, what was that South Park episode you are talking about yesterday? I think it's called Tom's Rhinoplasty. I think maybe that's what it was called. I got to get the exact name, but don't quote me on that. I'd have to. I think it was. I just know it was an episode that aired in 1998. So whatever season that was, I think it might have been season 1. Episode 11, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, it was early in South Park. But it is so funny. Oh, man. It's classic. Classic. So, yeah, there you go. Sometimes you just need a laugh. You need a laugh. I think Indigo Girls was actually playing in the background. That's what made it even funnier. Hey, Greg, really enjoyed having Rick and Rich on the show today. Your guests are killing it. That one comes from Bob. Well, thanks, Bob. We appreciate it. Yeah, Rich Winter giving us the agent side. Then we just had Rick Pracey talking about the amateur draft for the Oilers. And, you know, the Oilers aren't going to get big names there, but I'll tell you, we can go through the list every year where you go through it and you say, oh, yeah, 3rd round pick, yada, yada, yada. But like, you can't go back. You can't go back too recent because they haven't developed yet. But let's just go back even 10 years from now, 10 years ago, right? You look at the 2015 draft class, which happened to be Connor McDavid's draft class. And, you know, you look at guys like Anthony Cirelli, 72nd overall. Pretty good player, right? Sam Montembeault, 3rd rounder. Thomas Novak, 3rd rounder. Keegan Kolazar, 3rd rounder. Like, you can find decent 3rd round players, right? And go through it every year. 4th rounders. From that year, who was probably the best 4th rounder? Alex Carrier, the defenseman, probably. Matthew Joseph, he's already played over 400 games. Connor Garland was a 5th round pick that year. Mikko Mikkola. 5th round. He was a 5th round selection, 127th overall. Kirill Kaprizov, 5th round selection from that year. So never, I wouldn't just, Karel Vejmelka, 5th rounder, pretty damn good goalie. Troy Terry from Anaheim, 5th rounder, like late 5th rounder, 148th overall. He's turned in a pretty good player. Or a guy who, I'm going to say it right now, my candidate for probably going to get the biggest overpayment. He's a good player. I like him, but he's going to be a huge ticket. Vlad Gavrikov. He was a 6th round selection by Columbus back in 2015. What about Andrew Mangiapane? Had a pretty good career. He's over 125 goals already. 2 games shy of 500. 6th rounder. Mason Appleton is going to hit it big in free agency this year. If he makes it there, unless he signs with the Jets, either way, he's going to get a big ticket. He was 168th pick. So Matt Roy, hell of a defenseman last year, cashed in. Joey Decord, goaltender, 7th rounder that year. We go through it every year, man. That was just one draft class. That was just one. Get to we might do a few more leading up to it, just to remind you of don't just automatically rule out that the guy's not going to be a player. At the same time, don't necessarily just assume they're all going to be great, because it's pretty damn hard to make it. On behalf of Connor Halley and all our guests, if you missed any of the show, anywhere where you get your podcast, the Jason Gregor Show is there. Check it out. Individual interviews are at jasongregor.com. It is the Gregor Show, as always, presented by PlayAlberta.ca. As we get to the Con Man Sports 1440 update, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Casinos, live dealer, they got it all. Just remember, if you're going to wager, use your game sense. GameSenseAB.ca. Set a limit. Stay within it. Good night.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
In case you missed it, Evander Kane has been traded to the Vancouver Canucks for a 4th-round pick in this year's draft. No salary retained. Kane missed the entire regular season while recovering from multiple surgeries, but in the playoffs at 6 goals, 12 points in 21 games. Round 1 of the NBA draft gets going in about 10 minutes' time from Brooklyn with the Dallas Mavericks on the clock. Okay. And the Edmonton Riverhawks in action on the road once again, taking on the Harbor Cats, looking to make it 2 straight in Victoria. First pitch set for 7:35. Major League Baseball right now, bottom of the 5th. The Jays trail the Guardians 3-1 out in Cleveland. Elsewhere, Athletics on top of the Tigers 3-0. Rangers have a 6-0 lead over the Orioles in the 6th inning. Yankees on top of the Reds 3-0 midway through the 3rd. And early on, Cubbies up on the Cards 1-0 later tonight. Astros host the Phillies, Dodgers in Colorado, and the Giants taking on the Marlins. In the WNBA, 2 games tonight. Valkyries host Liberty just after 8. Also at 8, the Sun in Vegas taking on the Aces. And Montreal captain Marie-Philippe Poulin was named the PWHL's Billie Jean King MVP for the 2024-25 season, finishing with 19 goals and 26 points in 30 games. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Coming up next, Fox Sports Radio. Live local coverage resumes tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. with Kevin Carius. I'm Connor Halley. This is